Hello, everyone. Um,
Whew.
hello, Abby.
Hello, hello.
What's up?
So, are you are you looking in the comments?
A little bit, yeah. I've been missing what's been going on with Mr. Massey there.
I had
Uh,
no idea. She said Jimmy Dore did it. Was talking about it or whatever. So I just googled it. Um, Messy. She said he's talking about this when he needs to be talking about healthcare.
so maybe we shouldn't bother covering it.
I mean, it's just being messy. But today is one of our chill
Yeah.
days. So um, I guess the ex girlfriend something. I heard that you like gay sex. A reporter asked Thomas Massey.
Mm.
Well, I just wish they would come out.
So that's the state
Congress.
of the news, eh? So I heard you like gay sex, sir. Can I get a soundbite? This is a politician. What about the politics? Whatever.
So the Thomas Massey news should be. Now I'm not gonna be able to talk. I was coughing right before we started, so I need to put in a salage. Wait, salage? That's not the right word.
Lozenge.
Lozenge, a lozenge. I did it backwards. I was like, wait a minute, that's Beyonce's sister.
You gotta go to the salon to get your lozenges.
Uh, well, the news that they should be talking about is Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna uh, put in uh, put a resolution in to separate to take out the part in the new NDAA for 2027 that merges Israel's the IDF with our military and all the data centers and all that stuff. And they won't even let the resolution come up for a vote. So, I mean, that's better news to be talking about than his. I don't. I don't
Definitely.
want that. I don't want that picture of Thomas Massey bumping and grinding in the bedroom. Ew.
Well, that's just the thing about like they all reserve the right to make their anti-gay jokes or whatever, and like they what they end up doing is fixating on it a lot more than otherwise. You know, if they didn't feel the need to bring it up all the time for fun, allegedly, it seems a little bit like there's a hyper fixation on this kind of thing. You know, it's like the with the anti-blackness stuff too. It's like on some level, do you maybe have some kind of a fetish for black people, and it's like kind of like it comes out as like some of your racism instead of because in your closet life you actually kind of there. That's what were you saying, Macy? You're saying I'm betting what is only gays know the reverse psychology in gayness. So there's a lot of reverse psychology. I agree, whatever going on with these insults.
Hmm. Interesting. I'm trying to pull up the comments over here because it's doing that weird comment thing where I can't see my comments. Okay.
Hmm.
All right. All right. Hi, Sean. Hi, Jacqueline.
And what's up,
Miss
Eggsy?
Macy. What's up, Eggs?
What's
Eggs
up,
D.
guys?
Eggs D who? Eggs D's nuts. Anybody else here? I can't see.
I don't think so far.
And the lurkers. Hi, lurkers. There's more numbers than that up here. So the
Hmm.
lurkers. Um. Oh, y'all. So we started going back to Rumble again, and I just checked the stats just to see is anybody even looking on Rumble. And there's a we got a nice little number on there so far.
Well, that
And
suggests maybe we're less like shadow banned or whatever on there maybe.
and we have like 27 followers, so
Hmm.
I
Yeah, we
thought
got
that was cool.
only 27 followers, but we're getting more views than 27 views. So I like that.
Right. That's true. So clap for yourself, Michael.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you say yay? Silly goose. Okay. Um, I can't pin the. I cannot pin the invite, y'all. I can't pin the invite.
Oh, again, here. I was gonna say, let me see if I can put the invite in there.
It's not working out for me.
Because I changed a little bit of a thing around. I tried to see if we set up a whatever StreamYard's calling a reusable studio. Well, at least I can share the link without it rejecting it this week. Can you see it there? Or is it not popping up?
I see where I added the link, but not you.
What the hell? This is ridiculous. I can see it popping up on the YouTube page I've got open. And maybe I can comment a bit. We'll see if it comes through. But it didn't come through on the StreamYard end. Yeah, it comes. This is fucking weird. I can comment, but I can't share a link.
How is that an insult? I don't know what. Oh, maybe I could put it over here.
But usually when YouTube blocks it, it'll tell me that it blocked it. But this is like that shadow blocking thing where it censors it without telling you.
Oh, I know they were excited to see those men rolling around, all oiled up, sweaty. Oh, this is another thing I wanted to. I gotta look this up to see if this is accurate, if this is actually true. So, is there a at the White House? Look it up. Is there a Nazi-esque eagle up at the White House? I think. Yeah. Donald Trump's gaudy. Let me see if I can share this. Yeah, gaudy golden eagle trashed over Confederate 11-star message. Okay, let me share it. Like, what is this fixation? What is your purpose? To keep everyone talking about the shit that doesn't matter? This is from today, too.
What's up, Cobra? Yes,
so,
very Nazi-esque American Eagle there. Yeah.
Like, it just makes me think, what the hell are they doing in the background that they don't want us to know about? Oh, it's not actually up there. It's an AI generated image.
The fuck?
Okay. But I mean,
is that like a soft opening to see how people respond? Maybe that's funny. As far as I've been watching, we should watch out for the gold markets. There's some really interesting things going on with the Chinese trying to de-dollarize and stuff, and maybe they don't have enough gold to put up such a thing. Basically, you know, the U.S. is supposed to have gold in the Fort Knox, but people are saying, where is it? You know, do you have proof of it? So.
Right. We want to see it.
I don't want to see it in the form of that golden Nazi eagle, but show me the rest of the gold.
A golden gift to the White House for its 250th birthday year. Is that right? So if it had 13 stars, that would symbolize the 13 British colonies. But this one only has 11 stars. So that typically symbolizes the states that seceded from the Union and formed the Confederate States of America, who fought to preserve and expand the institution of slavery during the American Civil War.
Well, what kind of dog whistle is that?
Right. But look, in his first term, look at that gaudy shit. In his first term, when we were saying, black people were saying, okay, they're doing the, the white power thing that they do. They're doing it.
Whatever
They're
thing.
doing it.
And
they were like putting it, like trying to like sneak it in all the time. Everybody told us we were being overreactionary, trying to play victim. Everything isn't about race. Gaslighting, right? Okay, so then what is this? What is this? The 11 stars for the 11 Confederate States of America. Give me a break. Or as they said in this article, what in the actual fuck is that?
That's America.
Oh. Yep, it's America with the 3 Ks. So anyway, that's not even that important either, because I mean, what are we gonna do about it but complain?
Macy's saying if it's a U.S. eagle, it's the way the head is turned. Depends on if it's Nazi. I don't know which way though. Well, I didn't know that. Thank you. I'm wondering, is it to the right? Maybe would that be too on the nose? That was to the left, so to the right. My right, your left. Sorry.
So to the right.
Okay.
But the stars is the most important part of it.
Mm-hmm. That's got to be its only possible meaning. Is someone else going to come up with a more plausible explanation than that? No way.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I hadn't looked into that, but I saw someone saying a video title that was talking about there's like 4 massive, like fairly large earthquakes that occurred either simultaneously or very close to each other, and so not just Venezuela. I'm wondering if I gotta do another research, but I can only do so many research projects at once.
Yeah, I've been kind of busy. I had to help my brother move.
No, but Thursday, I think we're going to have a good show. I want to send you the links that I've been finding in an email, and then you'll have time to kind of review a little bit ahead of Thursday. But we're going to talk about the maritime insurance companies. And I think it's something that people should have been maybe tuning into a little bit sooner, recognizing the significance of that aspect of the Strait of Hormuz crisis. So hopefully you guys be interested in hearing about that stuff.
Cool. Let me add the link again. I'm just gonna have to keep doing it.
Yeah, I guess.
That's gonna be annoying.
That's right. Lance. That's the Lloyd's of London. I don't want to get talking about it too much ahead of time until Thursday, but that's the big one that should not exist anymore, but somehow still does,
Well, did you?
Barker? Said, how's it going, old man Barker?
Oh, hi, old man Barker. Well, I can't wait to do some research on it and talk to everybody about it.
Mm-hmm. And Jacqueline, what's up?
Well, I'll tell you. Well, Lance, the Supreme Court upheld the 14th Amendment, so I'm a little excited about that. And then they did something else. It was like, I should look it up, because they came out with a couple of decisions today. So I'm glad I don't have to snowflake out too much.
More unique
But
than anyone else. Thank you very much.
oh, silly goose. And all those people who don't self-identify as a snowflake, of course.
Yeah. It takes a
Oh,
brave
hi,
person
Jacqueline.
to identify as a snowflake.
Yes. Let me share this. And then maybe I'll try to Google those, what happened at the Supreme Court today. If you guys aren't up on it. But man, Donald Trump is just, he is really just, a grape is a strong word. He's just giving our country away to the highest bidder. And actually, I don't even think Elon has to pay for this. He is giving Elon Musk an entire wildlife refuge.
Wow. This all out
Like,
assault on the
what?
environment needs to be stopped. This is ridiculous.
This is getting ridiculous. Okay. Tribal and conservation groups today sued the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to stop a land trade that would hand 715 acres of the Lower Rio Grande Valley National Wildlife Refuge in South Texas to SpaceX. In exchange for these lands, SpaceX is giving 683 acres to the service. Wait, what? What does that mean, to the service?
To the Wildlife Service, the Fish and Wildlife Service.
So how is that an exchange? So basic. Oh, it's like 683 acres of somewhere else or something.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense. It's
That
a little
doesn't make
strange.
sense. Yeah, and then like if he's giving 683 acres from somewhere else in the country, uh, what does that look like? Like, is it barren land and nobody wants any damn weight, or what? Well, let me just finish reading.
Read the next paragraph.
Maybe they'll explain it a little more.
Yeah.
Under the law, any exchanges of wildlife refuge lands must result in net conservation benefits to both the individual refuge where land will be exchanged and the wildlife refuge system as a whole. Oh, okay, I see. So the wildlife habitat that SpaceX has sought to take ownership of has been degraded by SpaceX expanding operations and failed rocket launches. In its decision last week, the Fish and Wildlife Service chose to give those lands to SpaceX in exchange for fewer acres of private lands, and majority of which will be added to a separate wildlife refuge. So after you ruin the land with all your launches.
How are they even allowed to do that in the first place? This is supposed to be a wildlife refuge.
Right.
Get to buy land so close that it was destroying it. That was intentional, whatever. Like, doesn't take a genius to be able to predict that if you put that kind of a spaceship launching facility next to a wildlife, fucking 1 + 1 = 2.
Like, are you not entertained? Now I'm being a snowflake, Lance. This is snowflake territory right here.
I guess we should be coming up with jokes for this, right? Because that's the right response to this.
This land deal resulting in the loss of more than 700 acres of a national wildlife refuge is one of the largest exchanges of land in the refuge system's history outside the state of Alaska. Sorry. Our protected public lands are being gifted for the benefit of the world's richest man. Gifted. He doesn't even have to pay for it. Who could trash them while playing with his exploding rockets? Said Lakin Jordell, National Public Lands advocate at the Center for Biological Diversity. The Lower Rio Grande Valley National Wildlife Refuge was built by decades of conservation work and funded by millions of taxpayers to protect our vulnerable wildlife like ocelots, and piping plovers. I don't even know what a piping plover is,
No, I never heard of them.
but I'm guessing we should keep it around.
Sounds like a buzzard.
So once again, taxpayers are subsidizing corporations, these welfare queens, while they're cutting SNAP benefits and Medicaid for us little peons. Isn't that something?
Yeah, they're very much coming up with policies that are designed, in my opinion, for indirect genocide. Like when you're looking at the climate crisis that's brewing this year, we're going to have a food crisis that's manufactured. They see it coming. They're making it worse, not better.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like all this other stuff on top of that, whatever, destroy the wildlife systems, refugee, whatever, the national parks and whatnot. That's only going to have further downstream damage to the environment that will lead to like more catastrophic effects for human life. It's not really just about us, though.
Right. Not just about us. Because these mess with the ecosystem. I mean, like, come on. All right, let's see. We're not letting Trump
attacking their own refuge, whatever, like national park, and then with the Strait of Hormuz crisis, one thing that I heard on the weekend, somebody mentioned, and I was like, wow, thank you for reminding me. There's been oil spills happening in the Gulf, and they're threatening wildlife habitats on the coastline around the Strait of Hormuz. And so that should be something that everyone should be talking about. One of the major things that for them to be pushing for a peace deal. But that's not really part of the calculus for why a peace deal is necessary. We have already kind of lost our ability to care about the environment in a big way, and it's not good at all. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. I'm just sighing because of the situation here, not you.
Yeah.
We're not letting Trump and his political cronies lock the American people out of Texas's cherished public lands just to give Elon Musk another payday. This is our land. We paid for it.
And by the way, what? Not to mention Albania too. What do they have to do? This little flamingo revolution, whatever they're calling it, because there was wildlife habitat that's being threatened by Trump's greedy ass kids.
Mm-hmm.
So,
here are all the. Well, I'll get to that part. Okay, so today's lawsuit alleges that the Fish and Wildlife Service violated the National Wildlife Refuge System Improvement Act of 1997 by taking action that will permanently reduce and degrade the Lower Rio Grande Valley National Wildlife Refuge. In approving the transfer, the service also violated the National Historic Preservation Act by giving away hundreds of acres of a National Historic Landmark. The transfer approval also violated the National Environmental Policy Act. Well come on.
Like this, the law that they know full well. You don't have. Okay, but by the way, just before you continue, Jacqueline's letting us know she's too tired. She's gonna chill out for a half hour, then she's off to bed. So.
Okay.
For popping in, saying.
Thanks for popping in.
Sorry, we're getting later and later on Tuesday. I guess we're gonna have to try and do earlier show just for you, Jacqueline.
We gotta try to do better. I didn't even think of it that way. So we're gonna have to. I'm getting lazy, I guess.
Okay, I'm getting like too tired from drinking too much, whatever. So I kind of have to take my day. Like I feel better at night. So if we try and do the show too early, I just still kind of feel a little bit too hungover most of the time. So maybe I should stop trying to drink every day.
Maybe.
So, tonight I'm gonna skip not have any to drink. So
yeah, that's good. Yeah. It's just so hot here. Like it was like 100 and something degrees here yesterday. Was that yesterday? Yes. You talk about and I'm trying to help my brother move, and I'm just like, oh my God, out of all the days to move, you picked the hottest day of the summer.
So there's no way to predict that really ahead of time. If you're trying to arrange when you need to, if you're moving, you get a place when you find whatever, everything fall into place. And so the time's kind of not really picked by you so much as it is just kind of manifested or whatever, you know.
Yeah, and good for him because he finally, like the VA is finally doing what they're supposed to be doing. All right. Congress created this wildlife refuge in 1979 to protect its diverse wildlife, including rare species like ocelots and Aplomado falcons, and then all these different birds, which is a piping plover is a bird. I looked it up, the picture of it. It's cute too. It kind of looks like a little
like a little piping plowing lover.
What are those birds that hang out by the ocean?
There's a lot of those.
On the beach?
Seagulls?
Seagull, yeah. Seagull, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of those. Like, way to narrow it down.
But I did know what you were, after I thought about it for 5 more seconds, I knew exactly what you meant.
All right, so the refuge protects some of the best remaining habitat in the United States. Okay. In 2014, SpaceX chose the nearby Boca Chica area as a location of a rocket launch site and a test site, and it has rapidly expanded its operations and activities in the area. This included numerous rocket launches, some of which have resulted in catastrophic explosions that have propelled debris for miles onto refuge lands, including concrete and metal. Elon Musk has built his explosive SpaceX facility in the middle of a major wildlife corridor, home to endangered and threatened species like ocelots and wetlands. There was never supposed to be space rockets blowing up here. Our community opposes these latest hostile land grabs by SpaceX of our wildlife habitat in Boca Chica Beach. This habitat land is meant to be preserved for future generations, not for billionaires to find later and destroy. Man, oh man, oh man. Let me go down to this part. The post-explosion surveys have revealed environmental damage to nearby lands on the Lower Rio Grande Valley National Wildlife Refuge. That must be like the blow over, like from the from when the spaceships blow up.
Yeah.
I was talking the debris that they were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So a 2024 study found that after one launch, every single monitored shorebird nest near the launch site suffered egg damage or loss. Instead of taking, I don't know why I'm acting like I can't read today. Instead of taking any enforcement actions or working with SpaceX to reduce or eliminate its harm to the refuge, the service accepted the damage to the lands and now points to the supposed lower conservation value as justification for the land exchange.
I think we got some corrupt officials have infiltrated and taken over the goddamn wildlife refuge.
That's what it sounds like. Jeez. Dang, I'm late to the punch. So this land exchange was first made public in March. So what is this, June? I'm just learning about it in June. So okay. I missed that. But nobody's talking about it. So
well, everyone's kind of hyper fixated on war right now, and only kind of one particular war or one or two wars, even though there's a lot more than that doesn't get talked about in the daily weekly cycle. Every once in a while, people bring up Congo or Sudan, but for the most part, it's just Gaza and Ukraine, Gaza and Ukraine, Gaza and Ukraine. What about Myanmar? Oh, there's a war going on over there? I didn't even fucking know. Why? Because we don't even fucking talk about it. Right.
Right. All right, let me see. Anything else to read on here? Oh, okay. So
They're trying to speed trans.
okay. These records were obtained under the Freedom of Information Act. So this was that hush hush that you had to like physically go and request the information under the Freedom of Information Act. That is messed up.
That's because they
Wow.
know full well the majority of the public doesn't take advantage of its right to freely request documents. And it has everything to do with, I think, that they charge money for freedom of access requests, and they reserve the right to fucking deny whatever they feel is whatever in their interest to deny, national security interest or whatever. They should not. It's not a freedom of access information request if they have the right to arbitrarily deny whichever information is the most important, actually.
Mm.
And the way that they fucking rigged the economy like a casino. How the fuck are we supposed to afford to pay for these requests or whatever? I forget exactly how much they are, but they're not cheap for people, poor people anyway. They're fucking cheap for rich people.
And I guess that's why these nonprofit organizations,
Yeah, you got to set
you
up.
hear the information coming out from them, you know.
Yeah, you got to set up a whole operation NGO in order to whose sole task it is to find information for the public, and then they become like whatever vested interest of in and of themselves, you know.
Mm-hmm. Jeez Louise. Okay, let me see. They're being silly. Let's laugh real quick because that was pissing me off.
It's kind of like that's what most people are using it for, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's
Yep.
yeah. I don't want to. I shouldn't really be talking about my family or whatever, right? But no, I'm not the only one in my family who's drinking booze as a painkiller. So just put it that way.
This is funny. I like to mess with people. Wait till everyone is in the car and ready to go. Then I mumble, "Drunk driving? We got this."
Mm-hmm.
And start the car.
How many times do people let you keep driving after that? Most of them?
That's funny. Okay. You got some information you want to share?
Well, the one thing
pull up some more stuff.
I had a totally different kind of topic, but the one thing I had wanted to share, we had talked a little bit about like dialectical materialism as like something that applies to science more directly than it's not just a political concept or a way to understand society. I think it's actually a helpful way to understand the laws of nature itself. So if you kind of wanted to get into that, maybe, hopefully it wouldn't be too complicated, but I think it would help people kind of recognize the validity of dialectical materialism, you know, because it's a very important insight that has been basically memory hold, and we've got to kind of bring it back, you know.
Okay.
So let me see if I can find the.
Okay. I have some other stuff I want to share too.
What the fuck? Where's the title? There it is. That's weird. Okay, can you see that and everything?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just not
Wait,
sure.
Hold on. Let me make sure I see it up there, but let me make sure it's kind of small.
Yeah, I just tried to make it a little bigger, but the title got cut off. I have two articles. I'm just not sure. Yeah, I'll probably go. This one's probably better to start with, the one that I got already. So I'll just read the title and then I can make it a little bigger. It says, "Matter in Motion, Dialectical Philosophy's Role in Science." This is where I think, like, if we could get our quantum physicists to actually start to appreciate the dialectical nature of reality, they may actually be able to understand physics a little bit better. Because I'm seeing them basically speak like their theories. Um, they're using words other than dialectic to describe dialectics, and so it's just like a simple little click in their mind. I think would make things clear.
Big
But
Dog is here.
Oh, hey, Big Dog. Hey, what's up, Big Dog? Peace, peace, peace. All right, let's get into this. So, no man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river and he's not the same man. So said Heraclitus over 2,500 years ago. An ancient Ionian philosopher, Heraclitus is most well known for his philosophy of flux or change, a philosophy that has found various expressions throughout world history and in modern times has come to be called dialectics. What Heraclitus meant by this was that flux and motion are fundamental aspects of matter, and more importantly, that contradictions abound within nature. Everything both is and is not. You cannot step into the same river twice because the water has moved and isn't the same water you stepped into previously. The same is true for the person in Heraclitus's quote. The human body, like all organisms, is in a state of constant change. Cells die and new cells are reproduced all the time. What we eat gets metabolized, and the chemicals and minerals in our food replaces those already making up our cells. We do not notice these changes on a day-to-day level, but on a long enough time scale, it could be that most, if not all, of the atoms that made up you a couple of decades ago have all been replaced. In a chemical sense, you are physically a completely different person to who you were then, yet at the same time, you are obviously the same person. This is the essence of the philosophy of dialectics, and arising from this state of flux come certain contradictions, which together give rise to new qualities. It's basically like it's kind of like a whatever you call an extraordinary claim, but dialectics is why evolution evolves, right? Why it's even there in the first place. Without dialectics, we would not have evolution. We wouldn't even really have a universe, I'm pretty sure. But this is where physicists basically say that philosophy is not science, but to me, you can't have science without philosophy. That in and of itself is another dialectic, right? So, but I get like the frequency illusion thing happening, where it's like once you found your hammer, everything looks like a nail. So, try and help me not slip into that. Dialectics and materialism. As mentioned in the previous article, the German philosopher Hegel, influenced by Heraclitus, brought dialectics back into Western philosophy in the 19th century, which became highly influential and found new meaning when later coupled with materialist philosophy, known as dialectical materialism. Dialectical materialism is often met with skepticism and hostility due to its association with the later German philosophers Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. I really don't like how this person wrote this. This is actually misleading, misinformation, not like this person is trying not to associate themselves with communists, from what I can tell. This is the spinelessness of fucking scientists, in my opinion, because if they were to actually read like Das Kapital and all the communist theories and whatnot, they would have to admit, since they're smart enough to be able to put it together, that they are also a part of this economic system and that they benefit from kind of being privileged by the upper class due to the nature of their specific type of work. And so the scientists, really, I would like them to stop betraying the rest of the working class so that they can have the privilege of pursuing whoever that one question that they need answered, and they throw the rest of the poor people under the bus so that they can get their fucking funding. Yes, okay, you guys need to start thinking dialectical materialism in the way that Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, whatever, always insisted is necessary. Like, scientists, do your part, because you guys are fucking building the Death Star and acting like you didn't do anything wrong, okay? Because this is wrong for him to say it's association with them, because Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels fucking invented the dialectical material. Not invented, but they were the ones who really created the paradigm.
The part you were
I need to reread it, eh? I kind of went on too much of a tangent, but I'm just saying that pisses me off to no end, okay? Because it was a brilliant insight to apply it to politics and society, but I appreciate how these scientists are also recognizing that as brilliant insights into natural sciences as well. But for them to act like they have the right to be taking the baby and throwing out the bathwater of the political side of dialectical materialism, that is not acceptable for me. Whatever, it's not very scientific of you scientists. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels were not just associated with dialectical materialism; they are the progenitors of it, right? So it's often met with skepticism and hostility due to people being snowflakes, not being able to accept any value of communism. And so he says that Karl Marx and Engels were directly influenced by Hegel and considered themselves dialectical materialists. Yeah, that's putting it mildly. But I think this skepticism is premature. In his view, the author, which I forget what's the author's name, Kieran Schlegel O'Brien, okay, German Scot, they're in whatever, and that's interesting too. The Scots and the Germans, whatever, were reading about the East India Trading Company and whatnot, and the Scottish were just as bad as the English. A lot of them, sad to say, just as bad as the Germans, right? So anyway, I'm getting a little bit all over the place here. So in his view, detractors of dialectical materialism often object to Marx and Engels' application of this philosophical method to the study of human society and human history, things which the detractors believe cannot be understood in a scientific way, and therefore discredit dialectical materialism in general. However, whatever your views on this point, and the question of whether we can actually scientifically study and understand society and history is not the subject of this article, this criticism overlooks the applicability of dialectical materialism to the natural sciences. And I agree wholeheartedly with that statement, because I've been kind of dabbling in that. Oh, it looks like I lost Abby. Hopefully she'll be right back. I've been dabbling in this, looking to see how applicable dialectical materialism is to the natural sciences, but more specifically to quantum mechanics. And I'm finding it actually applies quite readily. I just hope I'm not getting like the fucking AI psychosis, because I don't have people that I can talk to about this that are knowledgeable about this stuff. I'm kind of on my own on that a little bit. So what's up, Rondo and Bad Cookies? Good to see you guys. Looks like Abby's coming back. Maybe not. All right, let me carry on. Where mechanical materialism, the deterministic and clockwork view of the universe during the Enlightenment, hit a dead end, dialectical materialism carried materialism forward and enriched materialist philosophy with a more advanced, holistic view of the world, taking into account and embracing contradictions in nature rather than ignoring or seeing them as a problem. Contradiction and conflict. The first law of dialectics, worked out by Hegel, explores the concept of the unity and conflict of opposites. We have already touched upon this first law with the example given by Heraclitus. Other examples of contradictions and opposites in nature include hot and cold, positive and negative, two magnetic poles of north and south, cause and effect, part and whole, and life and death. None of these things can be described or understood, or in some cases even exist, without the existence or acknowledgement of their opposites. The contradiction and conflict of the part and whole is also of particular importance to the natural sciences. For example, let's look at water. Water is made up of H2O molecules. These molecular parts make up the whole, which we call water. However, looking at each individual part in isolation, they are in many ways completely different to water. Water is wet, but a single H2O molecule is not. The property or quality of wetness only exists when H2O molecules come together and organize themselves. In other words, the property of wetness is a result of the relationship of individual water molecules interacting with each other and organizing themselves in a particular way. Is Abby back with us, or still having a hard time? I don't know what's going on. Hopefully she'll be able to be with us again shortly. Water is not wet. Sky is not blue. I find this to be kind of very important in answering some of these questions. You know, I was watching a podcast called the Demystify Psi podcast, I think, and they were kind of having an argument over what is water, and I'm like, read this. It answers what your questions were. But are you coming back here, Abby? There we are. What happened there? Uh-oh. There we go. Are we good? Are we back? What the fuck? I'm not touching anything. I'm just... What the hell?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but maybe... Seems like you're going to have to leave and come back again because StreamYard is doing all kinds of spooky shit. Not letting you join the... Maybe if I put you add to stage, will you stay? That would be the weirdest thing. Oh, apparently I need to add you to stage. Wow, look at that. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, that was weird. I've never seen that happen before.
Huh. Jeez. No, I don't know what happened.
No
I got
worries.
knocked out, obviously, but I had a rough time trying to get back in.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw Cookies and Rondo's here. Cookies saying, you guys staying cool? It's the Midwest's turn for a heat wave. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying cool. I was just complaining about that.
As cool as possible. I had my air conditioner running the last 48 hours straight. I got a sunburn. I don't know if you can see yet. Went to the swimming pool with my kids yesterday. Tried telling them I don't want to be here for too long because it's gotta get out and stand in the shade and stuff. But of course, my son never listens to me. He's always trying to talk me into the opposite of what I'm telling him to do. So anyway, we had a good time. So.
Good.
All right, let me get back to some reading here.
Oh, I didn't see. Let me see. I didn't see your.
My sunburn.
Do you look like a lobster? Oh shoot! No, I didn't see that. That looks like that hurts.
It does a little bit. I've had worse.
You need to buy some aloe vera or something.
Yeah, probably. Or I should maybe get over my pride and put on the sunscreen, maybe. But no, thanks. I don't really think that sunscreen's actually good for us. It might protect you from a burn, but what are the chemicals in this sunscreen doing to your skin? So,
what is the sun doing to your skin?
exactly. I may be wrong on that, but I'll pay the
price.
price. I'm just pretty sure.
It's just synthetic melanin. But I don't know. You have a good point, but
well, I forget. Was it AOC? She was famous for fucking trying to sell suntan lotion, Korean suntan lotion or some shit. I'm pretty sure that there's not all suntan lotions are equal at the very least, but I don't trust even the best ones. So I think the body is supposed to, it has natural ways of coping with the environment, and the more that you interfere with its ability to do the adaptation, the less it does the adaptation, the more you need your crutch to do the adaptation.
So they're saying sunscreen. Bad Cookie says sunscreen might not be good for you, but the sun is pretty brutal once the vitamin D is already produced. But Rondo says there's other options. Let's see, does he? There's other options to protect your skin from the sun without rubbing. Oh, is aluminum in some? Oh,
that's definitely the aluminum as a neurotoxin. I'm not sure if that's in all of them, but that's definitely an issue. I don't know why people have to make denials about that kind of stuff.
But that stuff is also in deodorant.
It's in a lot of stuff, right?
It's in a lot of stuff, yeah.
It gets in your food if you use aluminum foil.
But I try to use the non-aluminum deodorant. I've tried that before, but it wasn't working on me.
Oh, that's the kind I use. I find it works for me. So. But anyway, not to get onto deodorant somehow.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so this holistic and dialectical approach to understanding the world stands in contradiction to another aspect of science, which would eventually prove to have its limits: reductionism. That is, in studying the natural world through observation and experiment, it was tempting to see things in isolation and in their component parts rather than as part of the context of their environment and development. Things were understood to be nothing more than the sum of their parts. We still have this big problem with biological reductionism. They don't really, like, when they try and treat some health issue, they try and isolate your body parts and treat your body parts individually as opposed to treat the whole body. And so I think that we have a lot to learn here still.
Hmm.
This was particularly true in biology and anatomy. Whilst the reductionist method helps shine light on our understanding of how the body works, it nevertheless, on its own, leads us into an incomplete understanding of biology. At the turn of this century, there is a wave of reductionist thinking and hope surrounding the Human Genome Project, a wave of eugenicist reductionist thinking, I must add, when it comes to the Human Genome Project, with scientists and the media talking about us being able to discover the gene for pretty much everything. There were races to find the gene for criminal behavior, the gene for creative talent, or the gene for high intelligence. Perhaps unsurprisingly, such pursuits came up short. With apologies to the proponents of the selfish gene, a living organism is more than just what's encoded in its DNA. It is also more than just the tissues and organs for which these genes code and which make it up. A living organism is a thing in and of itself. It is the cumulative product of all these individual parts, the genes, the organs, the tissues, developing and interacting together to produce an organism with properties and qualities which its individual parts do not possess on their own. Modern geneticists and biologists are moving away from the oversimplified reductionist view of life, recognize that genes in the organism to which they belong have a complicated interplay that cannot be described by genes alone, as described above. Epigenetics and the recognition of external factors also affecting a living organism's development are a welcome recognition of reductionism's limits, and I would say also show a move, perhaps unconsciously, and this is what I'm keying into too. If you pick up on this, the dialectical nature of reality, you will see when people get to more robust explanations for how things work, they kind of necessarily, consciously or not, gravitate to a more dialectical way of thinking and describing things. It's just frustrating to see that they don't see the dialectical aspect of it, but they can, like a blind person or whatever, they're touching it without realizing what they're touching. So I mentioned that dialectics is the philosophy of change within matter, but it would be incorrect to take a completely one-sided view and claim that matter is constantly in a state of change. There exists, of course, periods of stasis and equilibrium. This is where we have the concept, Adorno's concept of the negative dialectic is kind of applicable to the periods of stasis that make the idea of dialectics seem false because things don't change fast enough. People then are able to deny the fact that they're going to change at all, which is why people think that capitalism is never going to change because it takes so long for it to change, but it does change, definitely.
Not for the better.
One of these days, it's not going to exist. There is a definite moment in history where capitalism is going to end. Whether or not the human race ends at that same moment is still an open question. I think it's possible that we can put an end to capitalism and we can still exist. But I think that if we don't give up on it, it will kill us as a species. Like, it will go extinct because we decided that we had to elevate one monkey over all the other monkeys for all of time. There's no fucking way that's any logical sense. So yeah, there exists, of course, periods of stasis and equilibrium. This seems to contradict the whole notion of dialectics, but the second law of dialectics, the passage of quantitative changes into qualitative changes, helps to overcome this contradiction. Quantity into quality. The fields of chaos theory, emergence, and complexity are perhaps the most powerful discoveries which vindicate this next fundamental law of dialectics. The relatively new science of emergence, the idea that some properties emerge from within the inner workings of a particular system whose constituent parts do not possess such properties, is essentially the laws of dialectics written in the language of mathematics and physics. And this is exactly why I'm going to kind of relax a little bit when people are saying, like, Marxism, whatever, is just like another religion, just like everyone else. Well, when we're making such vast claims as essentially the laws of dialectics are written in the language of math and physics, that kind of sounds like a religious kind of claim. I know, I'm sorry, but it's also like a secular scientific claim that has like religious implications. Is that maybe a more accurate way to put it? Because this is where I'm saying, if you try and say the universe itself is dialectical material in motion, people are going to think that that is like a religious kind of worldview. But it's like, I don't know. Because this is where, like, whatever, like, reality is Marxist. That's what I'm saying. It literally is. But to say that makes you sound like you believe in scientism, I guess. Exactly. So it's, I maybe
isn't
have to,
it like instead of, I forget the word, instead of theism is deism? Deism, right?
Yeah, I forget what that one means. Whatever. You want to look that
I'll
one
look
up?
it up real quick. Yeah. So theism versus deism. I forgot how to spell it. Oh, okay. DEISM.
So it might be a little too far reaching to say. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you wanted to know what deism was.
Oh no, go ahead.
Start reading again. You were talking.
I was just gonna come up with the next point, but then I realized I shouldn't move on until you read your thing. So. Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess I'm wrong. It says deism and theism both believe a supreme creator exists. The core difference lies in the core difference lies in divine intervention. Theists believe God is actively involved in the universe through miracles and revelation, while deists believe God created the world and its natural laws, but then stepped back to let it run entirely on its own. So I guess deism doesn't come with dogma.
So the deists think that God created the world and then stepped back, or
God created the world and its natural laws, but then stepped back to let it run entirely on its own.
And that's the deists?
That's the deists.
Right, okay.
Where theists believe God is actively involved in the universe, and, like that's why you're praying to them, because they'll change things. They'll answer your prayers and stuff like that.
Well, I'd have to say I'm not neither a deist or a theist, because I don't think that there is some.
Cancel?
I don't think that there's. I don't think there's a being that is powerful enough to create the universe, and then, like, either way, I don't think they decided to create the universe so they had a toy to play with, and I don't think that they created the universe so they could get tired and go have a nap. Like, a little too much of a human, like, anthropocentric, like, qualities, like the characteristics of God end up being inherently anthropocentric, because the hint is that we're the ones who created the concept of God. It's not so much that God is such a real thing and we happen to have discovered the nature of God. That's like, you cannot, whatever, like, that's the highly controversial claim or whatever. Like, that's like picking a side, and like you're going to make enemies with that kind of a statement. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, I just don't think Marxism. And hi, Arabella. I'm saying that right now.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, Arabella. Hi. Greetings. Oh, you're very pretty.
What's that?
I said she's very pretty.
Oh, yes.
Hopefully
that's the. It's a lot. Some people just take a picture of some random person online and say that's. Hopefully, that's who you are.
I don't think Marxism is like a religion, though, because it's an ism, which is like a type of system.
But isms can be ideologies, and religions are ideologies that are also.
Because you could say Judaism, that's an ism, and that's a religion. So never mind, scrap what I just said.
Mm-hmm. It's like, as far as I can tell, it's not a religion, but I do understand, like, people can treat it as such, and they would be wrong to do so. And there are enough, like, qualities, like I'm pointing out here, when we say things like the laws of dialectics is written in the language of mathematics and physics, that is, it's the ontological stuff, right? These are, ontology is not something the average person really learns, and like eschatology and teleology. And so what makes Marxism really kind of religious sounding is its teleological nature, which is like having to do with the end nature of like the end result of a system. And so when Marx makes a claim, whatever, that society is going to end in like a communist kind of whatever transition, there is this sort of teleological like claim about the about destiny, right? It's humanity's destiny to overcome capitalism. That's kind of what Marx is literally saying, and he might have gotten a little bit carried away with that sort of thing. Because
I have to walk over here. Finish your statement though.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I just have to walk over here real quick because
okay.
I can't reach it, and I'll be right back.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm trying to blank a little bit of what my statement was about to be. A brain fart.
Oh, right.
Yeah, no, it's not coming back to me. So. Well, it must not have been important. That's what I always say. If you can't remember what you're about to say, it must not have been important. So.
Who, me?
No, I was just, you're trying to say what I was about to say, but then I was like, oh, it's
Oh.
gone.
Oh, all right. So here we go.
All right, let's get back to it and
move
on after that. So, from avalanches to earthquakes, phase transitions to the death of stars, nature is abound with examples of this process of change. That is, small, sometimes imperceptible changes to a system take place over a period of time without much noticeable happening until a critical point is reached when the system undergoes a qualitative change. Let's look again at water. As is well known, from between 0 and 100 degrees Celsius, water is qualitatively the same. It may feel hotter or colder depending on its temperature, but it remains a liquid and behaves generally in the same way, whether it is at 1 degree Celsius or 99 degrees Celsius. The quantitative change in this example is adding heat to the water to increase its temperature, which suddenly at 100 degrees Celsius causes the qualitative change to the water in the form of it boiling and turning into steam. This is known as a phase transition and of course applies not just to water. What is perhaps not so well known is that such a process of change is a perfect example of dialectics in action. And when he was describing about
doesn't it this is off the topic, but doesn't it freeze at 32 degrees?
It freezes at 0, doesn't it?
At 0?
Yeah, 0 is the freezing point, 100 is the boiling point.
Oh, okay. So that's why he said 0 to. Okay.
Right. But what I was gonna say is when he was describing, like, when you add enough water molecules together, then you get wetness. Like that's how there's a quantitative accumulation that leads to a qualitative change in how a liquid forms in the first place. And so that's where I'm saying this perfect example of dialectics in action, it appears in so many different examples throughout nature that it seems impossible to deny that that's kind of what's going on, right? So change, therefore, does not always take place gradually and evenly, but rather often in leaps and bounds, and in a lot of cases is a product of dialectics, first law of contradiction and conflict within a system. The theory of evolution has been greatly enriched by appreciating these laws of dialectics. In the decades since the publication of Darwin's On the Origin of Species, evolution was thought to be a slow and gradual process whereby species, via natural selection, undergo small changes from one generation to the next until eventually so much change has occurred that a new species has evolved. The problem with this view of evolution was the fossil record, which showed a worrying lack of intermediates between species. It appeared that the transition from one species to another was a fast and sudden process. In the 1970s, evolutionary biologists Stephen Jay Gould and Niles Eldredge came up with the theory of punctuated equilibrium. It's kind of funny. They got the Eldritch Gould, whatever. They got like ghoulish last names, isn't it? Don't they? This theory states that species can be stable for long periods of time and find an equilibrium in their environment and ecology, and these periods of equilibrium are punctuated by sudden changes leading to the rise of new species. These changes could be due to external environmental factors or a mutation in their genes which gives rise to such an advantageous trait. that gene propagates through the population in a relatively short space of time. One of the most famous examples of this process is the Cambrian explosion, when just over 500 million years ago, life took a sudden leap with an explosion in diversity and evolution of new species and phyla and complex organisms, breaking out of the hundreds of millions of years prior when all life on Earth was simple and mostly unicellular. I hope we're not getting kind of boring with this, whatever. Kind of science is fun, but not necessarily for everybody. So,
I'm starting
punctuated.
to get lost.
Yeah, all right.
A
I
little
think
bit.
we'll see. Get to the next paragraph, and hopefully it'll get more interesting or become more clear. So, punctuated equilibrium remains controversial in some circles, and there is by no means a consensus on what the correct model of evolution is. But in my view, the theory of Gould and Eldredge is the best yet in explaining why the fossil records looks like the way it is. Evolution is a dialectical process, not a gradualist one. It is also worth noting that Gould was a conscious dialectical materialist and used dialectical materialism as a heuristic approach to his science. And I looked up this guy, and sadly enough, I think his father was more of a Marxist, and he ended up taking the baby, throwing out the bathwater. And even to describe Marxism as the dirty bathwater is kind of vulgar and rude, but that's just the metaphor that comes to mind. So it's sad to say that someone like Stephen Jay Gould was consciously a dialectical materialist, but consciously rejected Marxism when he would have been an even better scientist had he not done that. Whatever. But I get it, whatever. If you want a career, you basically have to do this, whatever, pull this disingenuous shit, where you have to drop the Marx and take his work, the dialectical materialist method, and pretend like it's got nothing to do with him. So perhaps without his dialectical thinking and worldview, he may not have come to this theory of evolution based on the evidence at hand. The negation of the negation, evolution by natural selection, shows us dialectics at play. The third law of dialectics, the negation of the negation, also finds expression in biological and evolutionary change quite nicely. This term sounds quite strange and abstract and is best illustrated with an example, and biology provides us with plenty. Consider an acorn and an oak tree. From a dialectical perspective, they are both the same and different things. The same since an oak tree grows from an acorn and an oak tree produces more acorns, and different since an acorn and oak tree are clearly two distinct things. From a scientific perspective, this can be explained, of course, by the fact that an acorn and an oak tree share the same DNA. They are the same organism at different stages in its development and life cycle. The negation of the negation alludes to the fact that in this example, the destruction or negation of one thing gives rise to something new, which itself also develops and changes until that is negated in place of something new, but on a higher level. Under the right physical and environmental conditions, an acorn will germinate and grow into an oak sapling. The acorn no longer exists, it has been negated, and in its place has grown a tree. At a certain point, that tree will bear fruit and produce not one acorn, but many more acorns over its lifetime. When the tree finally dies, when it is also negated, the multitude of acorns it produced will have produced many more oak trees. When we add evolution to this analogy, this multitude of new acorns and trees are the higher level referred to in the previous paragraph. The negation of the negation has come full circle, but the new acorns are not identical to the original, but have new mutations, new features, and in the long run, may even give rise to a new species of oak tree better adapted to its environment. So this reminds me of how I try and encourage people to think of politics not as an endless circle that just goes from like mob rule to aristocracy to monarchy to democracy back into mob rule, and it just goes in this endless circle throughout history, whatever. It's more of a spiral, right? It goes through a cycle, but it doesn't come back to where it started. It comes to a new evolved kind of place when it completes the cycle, and that's the negation of the negation. So the negation of the negation also highlights one further aspect of dialectical processes, which is that some things have a tendency to turn into their opposites. This applies in some ways to all three laws of dialectics. We see such phenomena in wider systems with many interconnecting and interrelating parts. In the history of life on Earth, photosynthetic organisms evolved first, and their byproduct, molecular oxygen, was toxic to life. But when life evolved bacteria that utilized oxygen for its own metabolism, oxygen stopped being a toxin for a whole branch of organisms, and now we cannot imagine life on Earth without it. You know, something could be said there about money itself here, where perhaps with the right evolution, I don't know, socialism maybe, money can go from being the thing that enslaves us to the thing that liberates us. But typically I have this like, I want to go for moneyless first or whatever, right? I hate money. But if I'm thinking dialectically, maybe this makes more sense or whatever. That's exactly why socialism needs to utilize some of the capitalist tools to dismantle it. I'm just saying.
Well, isn't that so? That's what I can't remember who I got this from, but like how China was capitalist. I think somebody was talking about this in here too. I think it was Bad Cookies. China was capitalist, and then they're moving into socialism. I played it before too. Let's see if I could find it. If you could find it too, that'd be great. Oh, right here. But this is a little different from what I was saying. Okay, if it's humans' destiny to overcome capitalism, humanity is kind of losing as it has infiltrated almost all the countries in the world. Even China has adopted capitalist values. Well,
right.
But China was saying like, or whoever was, not China was saying, but I think the person was saying that they were like trying to move into communism and saw capitalism was a necessary step to build the infrastructure up to start at a foundation where you actually can evolve. Their system can evolve into something else.
Yeah. That is to take their word for it. That is what they're saying they're doing, right? They know full well that they've opened up to capitalism, but they're saying, just wait and trust us.
Trust us. We're going to get to. They want to go to communism by 20. I forget the number. But well, I mean, they do execute billionaires if they like. Oh no, you're doing too much.
They've executed a handful, but they also have more billionaires than the Americans do now. So,
well, it is billions of them.
I know. I'm just saying. Like it's a little bit. It strains credulity when they have more billionaires than any other country on the world. Even if they execute some of them, they are the driving force of capitalism now. Like that's what they've done by outcompeting the U.S. They are now the driving force of capitalism in the name of communism, and that is a contradiction that will resolve itself, or else all of this means fucking nothing, or whatever. The nihilist won. Like, anyway.
So then, and I mean, they do things like if they don't allow monopolies. They don't allow. Like if a company gets too big, they will require that company to break up.
What people would argue is that the government maintains the right of monopoly over every industry, and so that's how they can prevent the monopolies, because they have a monopoly on whatever organizing or business, whatever policy and stuff like that. So.
I guess we'll see in 2050.
Yeah. Well, this is where I'm thinking for 2030. That's maybe around the time where we're going to have our next like big COVID-19 type economic style crash, or the 2008 crash, whatever. Looking to me like 2030, 2028 maybe. That's going to be a doozy. It's got to be like, it can only be worse than it's been, and it's like unsustainably bad right now. So.
I did want to talk about that too, but that's getting off the subject. But I think it's in Kenya where they're trying to do something with Ebola. I gotta look it up. Yeah. And they're like protesting, because it's like we don't even have Ebola, so why are you trying to bring Ebola here? Right.
They're definitely doing all this fear mongering about the viruses all over again.
Mm-hmm. It's starting up again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can look that up.
In my opinion, it's because they're not really getting what they want in the Congo conflict with Rwanda.
Mm-hmm.
So they're using this fear mongering as a pressure tactic on the conflict zone itself. But let me just finish up. I think this article's
Yep.
got like one more paragraph. So, where the previous article in this series showed how materialism as opposed to idealism is the correct starting point for science and the understanding of nature, I have tried in this article to show how dialectics, in conjunction with materialism, is an appropriate philosophy and worldview to have when dealing with the science of change within nature. But I think Stephen Jay Gould put it best in his essay Nurturing Nature, published in his book An Urchin in the Storm, Essays About Books and Ideas, when he wrote, dialectical thinking should be taken more seriously by Western scholars, when presented as guidelines for a philosophy of change, not as dogmatic precepts true by fiat. 3 classical laws of dialectics embody a holistic vision that views change as interaction among components of complete systems and sees the components themselves not as a priori entities, but as both products and inputs to the system. Thus, the law of interpenetrating opposites records the inextricable interdependence of components. The transformation of quantity to quality defends a systems-based view of change that translates incremental inputs into alterations of state, and the negation of negation describes the direction given to history because complex systems cannot revert exactly to previous states. In the next and final article, we'll look at some of the most recent ideas in science, blah, 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 because who cares? Because I don't know if you guys are going to be reading advancedsciencenews.com. But I just wanted to share that with some of the conversations we've been having lately. I've been getting the impression that nobody understands what dialectics is when I talk about it. So I'm trying to hopefully get people more on my level. Not to say I'm better than everybody else or whatever, but to be on the same page when we're talking about something,
The same understanding
helps a lot in order to advance our understanding. So we're not always trying to get someone to catch up to our thinking and stuff.
Okay. My friend is outside. I gotta go get something from him. So the thing with Kenya, they're trying to build like a quarantine facility so when people like get Ebola or what have you, the patients can come there. And they're like, we don't want that here. So yeah, they're protesting. It's supposed to be this health partnership between Kenya and I think it's for Americans that are in Kenya and other areas. So let me see. Yeah, exclusively for American patients as well.
You cut out a little bit there.
They're real pissed about that. Oh, it's exclusively for American patients.
Okay, so they're setting up an Ebola quarantine zone in Kenya for American patients only, and they're wondering why they're getting protests? What is it with Americans these days, or thinking that they can, or Israelis too, thinking they can do whatever the fuck comes into their mind, and it's allowed to happen, and it's perfectly good and fine and cool? Stop it. Like, they've gone off the deep end, guys.
Yep. You want me to send this to you? You want to read it?
Sure. Yeah.
I got to go outside real quick, but I will be right back.
Were we able to get the link in the
chat? I need to do that. I need to do that again. I can't pin it, but oh shoot. You have to open this with what's the name of the thing? IO archive or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. One of those archive pages. Because it's New York Times, so they're asking for a subscription.
Right. Okay. So if you can send me a link, I can plug it into the archive and see if it works. It's not always saved, but a lot of them are. I think a lot of the New York Times articles too, especially, are more likely to be archived.
I just sent it to you, and I'm about to put the link in the chat if anybody wants to come up and talk to us. I forgot
All right.
about that.
No worries. We're gonna have to
We
fix this
haven't done that in a while.
because these link problems are really hamstringing our ability to do a discussion panel Tuesday. So it'd be nice to figure that shit out.
Yes.
Okay, I got it called up here. So let me
Okay.
share my screen. You gonna be right back?
Yep.
Okay.
I just started to get something from them. They're dropping out to me.
No worries. Okay, so this was from what day is June 10th, 2026. U.S. Ebola unit sparks fury, protests, and a political crisis in Kenya. Hundreds of Kenyans have marched through the streets to oppose a quarantine facility that would be reserved exclusively for American patients. Tell me you have or don't have sovereignty without telling me you don't have sovereignty. The U.S. plan to open an Ebola quarantine facility in Kenya was meant to help contain the outbreak by isolating American patients exposed to the virus. Instead, it has caused an outbreak of violence and political rancor, with hundreds of Kenyans taking to the streets in protest. Typical New York Times fucking slandering of the protesters as violent and rancorous. Fucking rancorous New York Times, whatever. Anyway, last month, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that no Ebola patients would be allowed to enter the United States after the World Health Organization announced a dangerous outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Mr. Rubio later appeared to soften that stance. Probably didn't necessarily have the legal right to do so. I don't know. They act like they have the right to do whatever they want, don't they? U.S. government officials later told reporters that the Trump administration planned to send to Kenya all U.S. citizens exposed to the virus rather than bring them home. The Americans would be observed and treated at a 50-bed quarantine unit exclusively for them, set up at Laikipia Air Base in central Kenya, the officials said. The outcry in Kenya has been fierce. It didn't save all of the article. Hundreds of people have marched through the streets of Nanyuki, the town closest to the airbase, to protest the facility. The police have used tear gas to disperse crowds, and at least 3 protesters have been shot and killed, according to the Kenya Human Rights Commission. Kenya police did not respond to a request for comment on Tuesday. Critics of President William Ruto of Kenya accuse him of bowing to U.S. interests and risking Kenyan lives by letting exposed American patients into the country when they are being barred from the United States. Almost like they are completely sane and rational and doing everything well within their rights to oppose this insanity. Let me see if I can find another. Maybe I'll plug it into the Wayback Machine and see if I can get the rest of the article. Just bear with me for a moment. I really hope that these archives don't get taken down. That's something we're going to have to cover one of these days. They are kind of trying to erase the internet. That's funny. The archived on the Wayback Machine. It does not sharing my screen, but it says.
Don't say nothing.
Oh, don't say nothing. Are you talking to me? Let me try another one. I'm saying I've managed to read the first part of the article, but I don't think we're going to be able to keep reading that one because this is what the Wayback Machine says. So that's what I'm saying. We want to use these archive sites while we can because they are actively targeting them and trying to minimize their ability to archive new sites and block retroactively as many sites as possible. And maybe I'll look see if I can look up the headline or whatever. But a couple months ago, I was hearing one of the major archive sites lost like a major lawsuit, in like a $300 million kind of lawsuit, effectively killing the website. So let me see if I can find that. But welcome back.
Thank you. Can you play something for me? It's kind of
Sure.
funny because Bad Cookie says, and cue the cops to protect assets from the poors. So I forgot about this because it's on Facebook, and I probably can't share it.
Cobra's saying cantankerous pricks. Yeah, that's the New York Times, because they're talking about the protesters were violent and with violence and rancor. What you fucking? How dare you slander these protests for doing everything that you would do if you were them, basically, right?
Right. So remember, hopefully you guys remember Cop City, how they were protesting in Atlanta because they didn't want to have a cop city built in their city where the cops would like train, probably going to train with the IDF.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to play this.
Okay, I'll see.
It's funny, but it's also sad.
All right, let me know if the sound doesn't work.
The police running around like minor Batman villains. Why are the Atlanta police running around looking like the Foot Clan from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Why are they dressed like they're about to encounter the X-Men in America where the Supreme Court says police officers have no duty to protect civilians? That's because we live in an America where the police is often more armed and funded than the militaries of entire nations. And again, not to protect you. Where do we see them disarmed the most often? Not running into a school to stop a tragedy, but outside of a protest or a civil demonstration. They're funded like a not so small militia. They're armed to go to war, yet somehow America has the highest rate of crime, incarceration, and exoneration, meaning a court found someone was wrongfully incarcerated with the help of that not so small militia. But this is what happens in a country where we just throw money at problems. The idea behind defund the police was to say, hey, the police aren't really protecting people, and the money they spent on body armor might be better spent on the health and education programs that actually reduce crime. But they took it from defund to refund the police, and now Atlanta cops are walking around looking like Gears of War characters to better contain the hordes of taxpayers that seem to be such a threat to them. It's genuinely crazy to see, especially as someone that always understood defund the police, not as a let's erase them entirely thing, but as a we're funding a problem and let's put those funds to other solutions kind of thing. The opposite happened, and now police in Atlanta are moving like Deathstroke, like Slade from the Teen Titans. And again, no matter what they say, according to the Supreme Court, it's not to protect you. I cover news, politics, and current events. Shoot me a follow to stay up to date. Why are the Atlanta police running?
Look at them.
Yeah, I love how
Isn't
every reference he made to some kind of movie or cartoon character or whatever was like spot on. Like they really do look like they're dressed up like Mortal Kombat people or whatever the fuck.
Yes, it's crazy. Bye, Miss Macy.
No worries. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you
She
next
had to pull
time.
out on us. See you next time. And what are they out there for? Who are they?
So I'm glad you brought this though, because I was having a little conversation with some people. I think it was the Last American Vagabond chat.
Mhm.
They got more anarchists over there that are kind of anti-communist, I think, really, to be fair. But it is what it is, it's the consequence of a lot of communists are anti-anarchist, and so we've built up this animosity between us. But we were having a conversation about cops, and they're basically sort of saying anarchists are more radical than communists because communists want to kind of keep cops. We want to take the state, and if once we take the state, we're just going to have communist cops, and they're saying all cops are bad. So if you really want to have a revolution, we have to get rid of all the cops. And I'm like, well, how do you deal with the problem of cops without prisons? Ironically enough, are you gonna just do a genocide against all the cops? So it really is a very tricky problem to deal with. I think that like what this guy's saying is a great point. A good way to understand how to navigate that tricky problem is that eventually over time, yes, we do want to abolish every single police officer, but the more rational way to make that literally actually happen would be to seize the means of production in the state, and we're going to maybe need to use cops for part of the process of redistribution of wealth, and then we're going to need to actively design a society through the like this defunding kind of and funding, put the money where it really should go. Over time, you'll make the cops obsolete. They won't really be necessary because people will, like, theoretically, hopefully it's not idealism, right? But that's really the only way I see it, which is it's an uncomfortable thing, right? Isn't it ironic how Marxists and communists, we always find a way to advocate for the thing that we're trying to dismantle. Like we're saying capitalism is bad, but then we're trying to say we can use capitalism to get rid of capitalism. And we're saying cops are bad, but we're going to use cops to get rid of cops, whatever. So in this way, I think the anarchists have some validity to their critiques, but they also have some kind of idealism going on there that they don't really have a solution any better than we do. So we need to kind of discuss this without sort of being like, oh, I know everything and you know nothing. And because that's what really happens, right? Like most Marxists
Well,
kind
I
of
mean, in
like they
America,
don't know anything, and that's wrong. Like
in America, it was mobs. Every massacre that's happened in well, not everyone, but most massacres that have happened in America with 3Ks were from mobs, not the cops. Although the cops did drop a bomb on a neighborhood.
right. So that's the thing of like
So-
mob rule. As far as the cycle I was talking about earlier, about mob rule to aristocracy to democracy, whatever. So
Here, you can read this one.
yeah, without cops or whatever, we have what they call mob rule, and then that's not exactly like if we don't get rid of the organized crime, and then the cops are not there, then what you have is organized crime running the streets. So that's really, yeah. So let me read this: Stalin bad, great man theory bad, but also everything Stalin fault. Anarchists, nice, yeah.
And then he's addressing.
Stalin, like it's hard to figure out what to think about a figure like Stalin because of how all this fucking, like Stalin said, whatever, they're gonna pile all this rubbish on my grave, but my fucking like my I guess what he's saying, his work will speak for itself or whatever, will vindicate him in the end. So Nilo, I already have the anarchos where we want them. We are gonna turn the anarchists into the cops, then overthrow them. No more prisons, community rehab run by community leaders. Oh, nice. They will eat it up. Anarchists will throw themselves at the chance to run a community rehabilitation center. And when they fail, and fail they will, we make examples out of them. Ah. See, Cobra's, he's demonstrating the typical animosity towards the anarchists. Like, there is no rehabilitating them, ironically, right? There's no reconciliation to be had between communists and anarchists because we each think the other is just so stupid beyond whatever education. And so
okay, it's a community rehabilitation center. A chance to run it, like
I can't imagine an anarchist, like a true anarchist, would never allow, like, be willing to be turned into a cop. You know, that's the way I think of it. But that's where you get the no true Scotsman thing, you know. But even if, like, you, like, it's a good point you're making about if you abolish all the cops, then you will end up with, like, a someone who performs the functions of the cops, but you give them a different name. So you call them a community protector instead of a police officer. Good for you. You changed a whole lot. You know what I mean?
I mean, a lot would change if you only had community policing. You can't police a neighborhood you don't live in.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely a massive problem with the cops, right? I don't really want to be trying to advocate too hard on this point about saying, actually, if you think about it in a long-term sense, and you look at the historical examples like China and the Soviet Union, communists maybe need to come to terms with the fact that we're not exactly as against the cops as some people might think that we are. It's just about the way that they have, like, capitalism has turned them into such a problem. It's like, what do you do with that? You know, that's why we tell them it's rehab, y'all.
And make all of them get insurance. That shit would stop like that. The insurance companies, they don't play.
Maybe I'll have to come around to the same kind of conclusion that I made about trying to get the Trotskyists and the Marxist-Leninists to work together. I've kind of decided that's never going to happen. So if I try this, get the anarchists and the communists to work together, and that's not going to happen, maybe I'll call the spade, whatever.
Yep, and cookies, I agree.
If you abolish the cops, you would hope it would be prosperity for all, but in reality, human nature dictates the strongest would rule over the meek. So we have to make sure, is that really...
they do that now, but...
this is where the dialectical argument about what human nature is that maybe that's like the way it is now. Like, that's the stasis that human nature is locked into at the moment, but it's not maybe perfectly accurate in the long term to describe human nature as inevitably resulting in that kind of a society. Right.
And technically, cops are actively assisting the not strongest but richest to rule over the poorest. So I don't know.
Well, and Colbert saying, "Obi commies love law as long as it's just. That's our problem under capital. Crime is lucrative and prison is a private business." But this is where, if we got to maintain our dialectical kind of approach, because we love law as long as it's just, or whatever. But then one of the problems with, if once we seize power and we've been holding on to it for decades, is that our love for law and our interpretation of what is just, it's going to, like, the contradictions there will inevitably lead to another kind of change, and we're going to need to be willing to allow that negation to take place instead of trying to sit there and say, like one of the problems I think that, like, Cuba and China, whatever, they're with their one party state, like the way they've organized it, it functions in the time and place that we're in now. But as things change, if you try too hard to cling to the new tradition that you've established, I think that it will reveal itself to be incapable of withstanding whatever assault that comes for it. You know, I think you need more of they're willing to, like, open up the economy now, but they're not willing to like change the electoral system and whatnot. But it's like you would have achieved the same result that you were trying to avoid if you had changed the electoral system, and the electoral system people voluntarily voted to open up the economy, then you would have arrived at the same place. But it's like this, it's almost like a purity fetish kind of thing, right? Like the one party state becomes the purity fetish, whereas if you let a multi-party electoral system under a socialist whatever society take place, that will inevitably let the bourgeoisie back in, whatever. But what you're doing by upholding this one-party authoritarian state system, whatever, you're letting kind of a different kind of, like, a fascism in, maybe, if you don't let the people really have democracy in a way. I get a little bit, these takes are too Western Marxist for some people, right? You know?
So I want to share this with you, since we're talking about cops, right? This is from military.com. It was published June 17th. So what's that? 2 weeks ago? Don't like car license plate readers invading your privacy? It's about to get a lot worse. Leonardo Signal Trace links license plate data with RFID, Bluetooth, and device identifiers to build a trackable electronic fingerprint. So these things are in your iPod, I mean your AirPods. They're in, like, everything that you have on you. You know, your watch, of course, your phone. It even tracks you from your tire pressure sensors. And so once it picks it up, it will know wherever you go. It will find you wherever you go. A company called Leonardo already develops and sells automatic license plate readers. These are cameras that visually see your vehicle as it drives by, recording your plate for any number of reasons, though probably because you ran a red light or missed a stop sign. Now it seems the company has plans to go a little further. It's not an optical upgrade, though. There are plans to add sensors to its cameras in the form of an advanced signal intelligence system. It's a system that sweeps up unique identifiers of electronic devices and gives out signals. The idea is to track or identify specific devices in passengers' cars. You probably see where this is going. Okay, and it's not just your car, it's also you or things that are on your person. It's really hard to see this. Can I make this bigger? Oh, there we go.
Still pretty hard to see.
Okay, so this is a license plate. This is Wi-Fi. This is your signal. These are AirPods, your TV, your phone, and your watch. So anything with an RFID, an asset tag, transmitters, or even pet microchips, everything. Anything in your car, it'll pick it up, and then it starts to trace you wherever you go. And they are trying to get this ready for the police. This is why I'm showing this to you, okay?
Yeah.
I guess y'all get the gist of that part. So the digital footprint. When multiple devices consistently move together with a vehicle, signal traces algorithms link them to that vehicle license plate and timestamp location data. This correlation provides investigators with another layer of actionable intelligence. Even if a suspect changes or removes a plate, the sheet reads. But it's not just targeting individuals suspected of committing a crime, it's every car that passes. Jeez. So even if you have the wrong license plate number on your car, now they're gonna use everything that's inside of your car, including your sensor on your tires.
But this is where AI is the only thing that can make this sort of shit possible, because they already tried to do this with like that. I forget exactly what it was called, but after like the Patriot Act, and they created this system that was like a dragnet on all the information on everybody, whatever. Then they ended up with way too much information to process, and it was not really as useful as they thought it would be. But with this AI and quantum computing and everything, they're going to be able to make that kind of unwieldy system efficient, I guess.
Bad Cookie says, well, can you read that? I can't see it.
Says, I'm actually shocked this info is on military.com. I figured they would be the ones to try and hide this kind of info. Exactly. You think that they're going to roll this out without like the arms race? That's an eternal thing with the between the cops and the criminals, whatever. There's criminals inside the cops, whatever, that are then going to pass the information to the criminals on how to evade this brand new technology they created. Like, it's not really going to be, it's never as much of a game changer as they make it out to be, because the one game changer just forces the other side to come up with another game changer, which forces the other side to come up with another game changer.
So one thing I didn't read on here is that so this is going to be rolled out.
That's what I'm saying. Like
to law enforcement. Oh, go ahead.
Cobra says he'll use this technology to give himself alibis, to start leaving his phone in other people's car. Right? It's not as hard to get around as it sounds like. You know what I mean? But those people who don't think or read or learn, whatever, who just have an idea and try it out, or those people are not going to get away with anything. But they were never really going to get away with anything, right? Right.
So this is going to be rolled out to law enforcement, border security, and other government agencies. The cameras will be in federal buildings. Let's see. And as far as we could tell, Leonardo U.S. Cyber Security Solutions is one of the branches of the massive aerospace defense and security company. I guess Leonardo's parent company, and they're headquartered in Rome, Italy. Just FYI. Thanks, Italy. Hated it. So yeah, make sure you leave your AirPods, everything. They're probably gonna put them in burner phones too. All right, let me show you this. These are, oh, you can't see it. Why can't you see it? Oh, there we go. All right. These are the decisions that were handed out today by the Supreme Court. So they're upholding the 14th Amendment with birthright citizenship. They are kicking it to the states, so they can, in their constitution, if they want to, can prohibit transgender women and girls from female sports. They're saying this does not violate the Equal Protection Clause. Now it gets crazy. Campaign finance. So they have found that corporations, PACs, whatever, can give limits
on coordinated
the court
spending.
found. Oh yeah. So it found that limiting money on coordinated party spending violates the First Amendment. So
that's a psychosis
this
right
is
there.
Real bad right here.
Bullshit, because the money doesn't fucking have a mouth to speak with. If we're actually being realistic about the objective truth.
Citizens United opened that bag and what's his name say? The Mormon, I forget his name. Corporations are people, my friend.
That's what I'm saying. As long as we maintain idealism over materialism, we get to say things that are obviously not true at all, and we're pretending like up is down, black is white.
Presidential power. The court ruled 63 that the president may remove independent regulators like FTC commissioners at will, with exceptions for Federal Reserve governors. That's a lot of power.
Wow. That's
at will.
Not an independent regulator if the president has the right to remove you. Right.
Exactly. And then last one, I think. So they upheld the state regulations allowing the counting of ballots postmarked by election day, but received later.
Yeah, long story short, in case you didn't know, they just upheld the right to manipulate elections.
So the postmark, okay, so technically the postmark is like a federal stamp of the date.
As long as it claims, appears to be marked in such a way as to prove that it was filed before the election day, then it's valid.
Right. So because the post office is like a government sort of like a government agency. So if you postmark a ballot from the post office, then that's considered like evidence. If that makes sense. Right. I'm saying that properly. So that's that presidential power and campaign finance. Those are huge.
Well, and I was also
not good.
Maybe, I guess it's not related to the Supreme Court, but I was thinking that they've tried to make a decision to dismantle the climate change detection infrastructure. Like we're gonna have what they're calling a super El Nino event this year, like the biggest one in recorded history. But what the Trump administration is trying to do is defund not the police, but defund the environmental agencies' ability to maintain the network they need to detect, to prove the climate science. They just make the scientists blind, and then they won't be able to argue their theory. What could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? Let me see what else I have here. Oh, some Israel stuff. So that that 250th birthday thing, it looks absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, actually, this is funny. Cookie says transgender athletes, like the kind DeMarcus bets on. If you remember that guy who's like, I guess it was on
DeMarcus.
Okay. Kit Cabello had a video of some guy who was in court for illegal gambling, and he tried to make the argument that he bets on transgender athletes, and he has like a foolproof system. These transgender athletes win every time because they're like men competing against women, basically, is the implication, whatever. But he was like, you have to let me keep gambling, so that it was like a child custody case or something. He's like, so that I can provide for my kids, because he's got like a whole bunch of kids from different baby mamas, and he's like, I need to gamble with my foolproof system so I can take care of my kids. And now I'll bet you DeMarcus is heartbroken, and he's going to have to file a complaint that his free speech has been violated by the Supreme Court there. I just thought that was funny.
Well, this is what I want to tell you about that. Oh, wait. I think I'm changing the subject. Hold on. Oh, the 250th birthday party, whatever. Okay, where there's like a stage. I think there's 2 stages. It's not the main stage. They have an American flag hanging down on one side and an Israeli flag hanging down on the other. What does Israel have to do with our 250th birthday? Like, this is really getting out of hand.
Yep.
That's so inappropriate.
Yeah. This is where the 250th birthday, I hope it might be the last one. Probably wishful thinking, but hopefully they party so hard that they do some damage to themselves. Well, I guess I'm talking about you guys, Americans. My bad, whatever. But I know you guys feel the same
cool.
way. You guys are like, I hope that these KKK people, whatever, go bust, whatever, with their rage. It's only a matter of time.
I'm trying to figure out, like, where are the don't tread on me people? But I think the reason why they don't say anything is because they've been indoctrinated into the Zionist plot. So,
saying trans people?
No, I said don't tread on me people.
Oh, don't tread on me. Yeah.
Like they're treading all over your stupid ass.
Yeah, funny how that saying has somehow disappeared lately.
Yeah, nobody even says that anymore. Jeez. Let me see what they're saying in the chat.
I think they're talking about.
Oh, they're talking about
to get around this.
Yeah.
New surveillance. See, Cobra's got some tricks up his sleeve. Don't underestimate him.
I see. All right, let me play this. I forget who this lady is. Gosh. She's like the I think this is right there, spokesperson for the U.S. State Department. Yeah, that's who she is. spokesperson for the U.S. State Department. Now, hear what she says.
Unmute.
The pride of being able to be here and do work that facilitates making things better for people, and in the greatest country on earth, next to Israel. It's an honor to be able to make a difference and to be able to speak in this regard with an administration that I love so much and that I feel genuinely represented by. The pride of being able.
What the hell was that?
I don't know.
Next to Israel, the greatest country in the world.
Yeah.
Next
well,
to
yeah.
Israel, and then the little smirk at the after she said that. And then of course they gotta act like, you know, this Israel's the bee's knees.
They're just twisting the knife at this point, right? Like, what kind of an American do you think that you are to sit there and say next, like the greatest country on earth next to Israel? Like, what a cuck thing to do. You know?
Strange. Okay, you're gonna have to play this one because it's from Facebook, and I don't want no smoke from Rondo.
We got some Piers Morgan and Cenk Uygur. Oh, I guess I'll share this one.
This is really odd.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Nuclear program is going to be destroyed, and anyone who gets in the way, it doesn't matter where they are, even if they are politicians in the West, they are going to fall because we cannot afford.
Okay, Cenk, final word to you.
Did you hear what he just said? He threatened politicians in the West that if they don't agree with Israel's war against Iran, that they're going to fall. And remember, he's an Israeli agent. Are you saying Israel will murder politicians in the West or get rid of them politically through bribery or whatever else? What do you mean the politicians in the West will fall if they don't agree to back Israel's war against Iran?
Yeah, we will not vote for them anymore.
Oh, no, well, you don't vote for them now. You're not in our country. What do you mean the politicians will fall?
We live in democracy, and we have the right to bring them up and to bring them down. Those who agree with Ayatollah, we don't want them in office. And all the sympathizers with terrorists like yourself, we don't want them even to be in our country.
Who is we, and how are you bringing down politicians in the West if they dare to defy Israel? Tell me how you're bringing them down.
I already answered you that.
Are you going to murder them or are you going to bribe them?
The Iranian nuclear program.
Right.
That's weird, right?
It's a little weird, but he's what he's saying is that Israelis, they've got all their American allies, their diaspora, they've got them, you know, their money with their corporation is free speech shit, whatever. He's telling you to your face that they have enough influence to make sure that through the so-called democratic system that you will not be voted back in. And that's him letting, like, just for anyone who's been dismissing all of our sounding the alarm against AIPAC and the Zionist influence on Western governments, he's just corroborated what we've been saying, you know, from the horse's mouth.
I mean, first of all, okay, when you say we will not vote for them, we vote. So how that shows you how much influence they have on these ads that they these psychological warfare ads that they play before when it's time to vote.
Yeah, election campaign ads are the worst of the worst.
Like this lady, I think she won her primary too. I gotta check. Something Letlow, like she was endorsed by Trump. So all of the ads, all they talked about was how she's endorsed by Trump and how she was an athlete in college or something, and she was going to protect women's sports and not allow transgenders to play in women's sports. And I was like, that's all. That's the only thing that was just running over and over and over. And I'm just like, can you say something about a policy?
Yeah, it's
That's
such
the low hanging fruit, and these people fall for it. They're like, yeah, I gotta vote for Letlow. I gotta protect my girls. Meanwhile, what about the girls that on Epstein Island? Nobody cares about them.
yeah. The more that they hyper focus on the trans women being the problem, they are very much, just like you're saying, ignoring the greater threat of misogynistic men, patriarchy and stuff, harming women, their own daughters and whatnot, themselves. So, you'd think like if they want to waste that much energy on such a I don't want to. It's kind of rude to say like a low impact issue relative to the greater population. That's not to be dismissive of trans people's fights for their rights and whatnot, but the right wing wastes disproportionate amount of time and energy like going after their favorite punching bag sort of thing. It's just the left can never like capitalize on anything, you know.
And the weirdest part is in America, the group that disproportionately molest their own children, their own girls and boys, domestic violence against their wife, or just unaliving them, are white Republican men. The same ones screaming that they want to, I gotta protect my daughter from the trans. They can't go in the bathroom. Like they don't give a shit. They really don't.
Did you see Cobra's comment here? He
No.
thinks it's cosmically funny that Ben Franklin made the libertarian flag popular, and today we found dead bodies in his basement, and he might have been serial killer of women. That's your libertarianism for you. Liberty or death, just the death of the women I kill. And then 94% of murder is by men, yet one woman will eat her boyfriend or something, and it's front page news. Yeah. It's so well established. That's where I'd say the problem is not the lack of evidence. The problem is the overabundance of evidence.
Yes, that the call is coming from inside the house, and somehow the mental gymnastics that it takes to just ignore that is astounding to me. I can't even wrap my head around it, to be honest.
If there's like a metaphor for it, it's like Americans are the most talented at walking around with blindfolds on and pretending like they don't like step in shit every time, like or worse. Oh, come on. Yeah, LaRouche was a stand-up guy, you know, stand-up comedian. I am gonna do my best to not like make all my like let LaRouche live rent free in my head kind of thing, you know. Like I may have to come back and do more research on that if people are gonna kind of miss the significance of some of what I discovered in that research, because I really think that there's more of that, too much of that influence still around today that people are not really recognizing. But I think I've seen, like, if you watch Bet Beat Media with, is it Kareem and Fiorella is on there recently, and Dimitri Lascaris and whatnot, and I can't remember his other co-host. He's not been on there very recently, but they have been kind of. I don't know if they read my article, probably not, but I'm saying their takes in the independent media. They're the only kind of channel that I've been watching that are recognizing Russia and China not really doing their part, and it's important for us to be critical of them and not just kind of cheerlead for them blindly when they're maybe like walking Iran off the plank kind of thing. Like they walk like Syria off the plank, you know. And
Oh, damn it. Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to find this. Damn it. I can't remember the name of the party. There's a new party in the United States, a new political party, and I wanted to show it to you. Damn it.
a new right-wing party.
No. Oh, maybe if I could find it by looking up his name. Your government is run by pedophiles. They want you to die for Israel. Your government is run by pedophiles. They lie to you. Okay, American Congress Party. So let me pull it up and then we can look at it.
So like a new constitutionalist kind of party.
Well, we're gonna read it together.
That's the thing. Also, I think Americans need to like call the time of death there on the Constitution. As important as it would have been, it's not really bearing out to have any meaning anymore. And so people clinging to the Constitution like it has kind of still has any value, you're kind of beating a dead horse.
Is it big enough?
Can you make it a little bigger? Welcome back, Macy.
Hi, Miss Macy. Okay, you want to read it?
Sure. So, a spiritual foundation for political change. The American Congress Party represents a new approach to politics, one that integrates spirituality in politics to create meaningful change. That's not a new approach at all, but go ahead. Tell you. Our spiritual political party is built on principles of consciousness, compassion, and service to humanity. Unlike traditional political parties focused on power and control, ACP, ironically enough, like the American Communist Party, is now, yeah, I'm sure that they did that intentionally. ACP's leadership includes spiritual guides, yogis, and conscious leaders who understand that true political reform must begin with inner transformation. Okay, so like the party of the manifestors, like those guys we had on last week. From Brandon's dedication to yoga.
I just got that dig.
From Brandon's dedication to yoga and mindfulness to Clayton's spiritual podcast spreading awareness, our team brings a higher consciousness to American politics.
Those are the two founders.
It's just spiritual capitalism. It's been around for a while.
These are the founders. Okay. So this is the devoted yogi. Oh, he's the founder and president. He's the co-founder of Amara, a new social media app. Never heard of it.
Oh, so he's a capitalist, co-founder of a company, a new social media app company. Four-time business owner, capitalist, right?
Yeah, Clayton
Nicholas.
is a 4-time business owner, vice president of engineering, and spiritual podcaster. As an equal part diplomat and advocate, Clayton is a symbol of ACP's core values. And then they have a dude here, so he's the Secretary General. This is the Director of Hispanic Community Relations. Nicholas is a successful business owner who strengthens relationships within Hispanic and Latino communities nationwide for the ACP. Okay.
That's actually the third ACP. This might be, I don't know if the old ACP is defunct, but the earliest ACP is the American Capitalist Party, which I only remember because the American Communist Party guys actually had the American Capitalist Party people on for a debate one time, a couple of years ago or whatever, and that was that was kind of hilarious to watch. Those the right winger, whatever, people who, the communists who reject being leftists, whatever, arguing with the capitalists. Like,
So this is their political policies, okay? We believe 3 fundamental policies will fix 99% of America's problems. Now, reparations isn't on here. Okay. Free upgraded education, free health care, and free non-chemical food. These core policies address the root causes of inequality, illness, and poverty. No, they don't.
that's pretty funny. These 3 American capitalists pretending like they actually believe that these socialist policies are going to fix 99% of America's problems, but they're not talking about capitalism at all. So I don't really think that they're actually going to, like, this is a promise never meant to be kept. They're never going to provide free education or healthcare or food.
Oh, okay, we can go down here. The American Congress Party believes that America's strength comes from taking care of our own people first. Instead of spending trillions on foreign wars, we propose that redirecting those funds to provide free food, healthcare, and education to all Americans. Our policies are designed to create a nation where every citizen can thrive. So the domestic investment, redirect war spending to American programs. You already know those basic rights. And transparency, open books policy for all government spending.
It is as if these people are, like, genuinely don't understand how much Americans, like, the economic system and American like wealth and prosperity is based on the imperialist suppression of the rest of the world. So as much as they would love to redirect all that war spending domestically, it will never happen, because if they actually did that, they would have the material collapse of the global American hegemony, and that would accelerate the domestic decline, making their socialist policies impossible to implement, because they would no longer have the engine of imperialism funding their economy. So not that I'm advocating for imperialism. I'm just telling them, saying this so-called America first, libertarian kind of America first.
Yeah, this sounds like libertarian.
It's in complete denial of the what pays America's bills. And if you let your foot off the tiger of the rest of the world, all the other countries' economies are going to boom, and that in and of itself will be enough to collapse the American economy, which is already collapsing.
The tax policy reform, eliminating federal income tax and reducing the tax burden on working families. Americans should keep more of what they earn, while wealthy corporations pay their fair share. Okay. Aggressive climate policy to combat climate change through sustainable practices, renewable energy investment, and green infrastructure for a cleaner future. They need a little more policies up here. Like, this is not. Yeah.
It's funny. Cobra's saying, "Clip it. Nyla wants imperialism. New plans to build a new Death Star, or whatever." Ironically enough, I was doing that research into the Eurasianists and multipolarity. One parallel I noticed between multipolarity is with Kautsky's super imperialism. Ironically enough, so Kautsky was saying, if you let imperialist blocks consolidate power, then they're actually going to achieve peace. And that's literally the same end result as if you let this multipolarity international blocks form. That would be the same end result as Kautsky's super imperialism. Or is it super imperialism? I might get it wrong. Ultra imperialism. It is hilarious to me that is actually a parallel that can be drawn at all because of the ACP guys' claims to be Marxist Leninists, and the Marxist, like Lenin was like Kautsky, whatever. Oh, fuck Kautsky. And so now the ACP guys have managed to contradict themselves by having some kind of clandestine support for LaRouche, who was a former Trotskyist, and fucking Dugin's multipolarity, which is like a similar to this ultra imperialism. So it's like you can't make that shit up. It's just hilarious to me. I don't know if that's just me seeing what I want to see, but I hope you get what's so funny about that, you know?
Okay, there's two. I gotta go watch these podcasts. There's 2 episodes on here. Discussing Israel, AIPAC, Zara Mandami, Tucker Carlson, and nuclear energy. That's a lot in one show. Discussing Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, digital currency, and Jesus. Okay.
What would Jesus do about digital currency? That would be a fun conversation to have with Jesus about his thoughts on digital currency.
Now I'm genuinely curious to listen to these podcasts.
Well, I don't know how long I'd be able to make it through, but if you wanted to listen to a little bit, go for it.
No.
Maybe not right now.
No. They're 53 minutes and 41 minutes.
Yeah, see, I'm like a discussion on Israel, AIPAC, Zoran Mamdani, Tucker Carlson, and nuclear energy. That could be a great discussion, but I seriously doubt that they're going to be critical of any of those people.
Okay, let's see. Let's just. I think they're going to be very critical of Israel.
To realize the future America needs, we understand what's needed from us to face each threat head on. We've earned our place in the fight for our nation's future. We are Marines. We were made for this.
Calling all daydreamers and date nighters. Come immerse yourself in the rich culture of Texas.
Oh, these are.
And dig into our mouth-watering
Right-wing
barbecue. Trailblazers can explore our natural wonders.
American rich again, making this country rich again.
Okay,
So
here we
to
go.
vote, they want to do good things. They want to be politically active, but they don't know who to trust or where to go. And I'm not saying that you have to trust us right off the bat, but that's our mission, is to create a party that has political candidates that are not sponsored by AIPAC, that are not taking orders from a foreign country, and that are actually putting the interests of the American people first. Now, I know we hear that term America first a lot these days, but I mean truly America first, making every single American rich again, making this country rich again. So that is kind of my little spiel intro. I don't know if you have anything else you would like to add to that, Clayton.
No, I think it's
No,
great.
you're
I mean,
right.
You see how much
They're
money they're
actually
able to
critical of
somehow
Israel and AIPAC.
find and manage. And
Mhm.
I mean, we don't have to get into the Federal Reserve and how we're able to just print money out of thin air, but for some reason, that money out of thin air seems to keep going to just foreign countries, corporations, lobbyists, and yet there's never enough for the American people. You know, natural disasters happen, destroys the American people. And one of the visualizations I was kind of getting there at the beginning was, it seems like they're, you know, you see the Democrats and Republicans. I was thinking of them almost as like sugar, where you take a taste and it tastes super good, but then over time it like draws off, and then you become like fatigued and like there's something wrong, and then they give you another sugar rush, and then over time it like dulls out. So I found that to be a very interesting parallel as you were talking there, where it's like they just give us enough to be like, maybe this time, maybe this is the one, and then next thing you know, it's like, well, nope, I'm overweight, I'm lazy, I haven't gone to the gym, what are we doing? And then they're like, here, take this sugar. It's like, bro.
Yeah, so true, absolutely. And I think we are in such a cool time right now. I think we're living through one of the greatest times ever, one of the most transitional periods in all of, you know, recent history. For example, we are living in a time where people are waking up to the truth. The truth is coming out in intense waves. I think back in 2019, I was trying to convince my whole family, or 2018, I was trying to convince my whole family that we're being poisoned, that our food's being poisoned, our air's poisoned, our water is poisoned, and the medicine's poison. everything. I was saying all
Capitalism
things
is
like
poison.
this, and I
Did you
was
wake up to that
nuts.
truth?
I was absolutely.
Hmm?
Saying capitalism is poison. Did you wake up to that truth yet?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
absolutely
Well,
nuts.
I was gonna
And
say
then I started to get into the
one more
financial
thing. I was gonna
systems
say, if you
and
want to pause it, just I had a little theory. I'm saying the alliance between the Nazis and the Zionists is not really going to last forever. So I am trying to keep my eye out for when is the break between them happening. Just like the alliance maybe between the British monarchy and the American empire is not going to last forever. And we may be. I agree with what he's saying. We're living in an exciting time. It's maybe like a great period of history for him because he's wealthy enough not to be actually suffering like the downturn. Like, as much as I see hope for the future, I'm not going to say that it's the greatest time to be alive because I certainly don't fucking feel great. But maybe these guys, like, do I have them correct to label them as Nazis or fascists or whatever in libertarian clothes? Because that's what I think a lot of libertarians don't realize, that they're more cosplaying as a libertarian, but their core beliefs are a little bit more fascist than they're able to acknowledge to themselves or others. So if this is the true America first, whatever, the MAGA movement is truly done with Israel, then that would be, in my opinion, the Nazis breaking with the Zionists in a way that they haven't done since whatever the Nakba, I'm guessing. So Cobra's commenting over here.
forget about it.
I was just saying Cobra's commenting like a ACP bot. So he's saying this guy makes a lot of sense. Wow, I like what this guy's saying. I thought I was the
I
only
was
person who felt
completely
this way.
insane. So I think we're living in a time that's incredible because post 2020, you go on social media, you can't hide from the truth. It's hitting you in the face every single day. You go on to social media, it's there. And you talk to, Gen Z, they're pretty hip to everything that's going on, which is really cool. Really, really cool.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the, you said this even, and I've heard someone else say it, and then I was like, yeah, this makes sense, which is this idea that Gen Z is going to be the generation that saves the world. And, I think there's a lot of truth in that. I mean, I can see it, right? You get worried sometimes with the internet that you get information overload, but it seems like this generation growing up with technology is able to kind of see through the BS. Like, they understand gaslighting at its core and they're not able to be
They created
manipulated
it,
by
or they mastered it. I shouldn't say they created it. They mastered it.
Okay.
For sure.
They definitely mastered it.
Yeah.
And I think it's great. I mean, it's weird because it's like, well, nobody wants to be gaslit, but if you understand how to gaslight, then you can't be gaslit. And I think that's a beautiful thing that helps keep, politicians or Americans or anyone honest.
Yep.
I don't
To
agree with
realize
that.
the future America needs, we understand what's needed from us to face each threat head on.
All right.
We've earned our place in the fight
Just
for our
saying.
nation's future.
Okay.
We are
There's no way that just knowing how to
A lot of
gaslight
these other-
prevents you from being gaslit. That's like saying knowing how to fire a gun prevents you from being shot by a gun.
I mean, at least you have a somewhat better understanding. That doesn't mean that you can't be gaslit though.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Right here, maybe.
That have been established have been around for forever. It's the same old age thinking that has been in place where they know, something's wrong with the system, but they've really done nothing to make it really work. The American Congress Party is for the younger generation. It's for the people that have all of this knowledge. They're going on social media. They're learning the truth because we know the textbooks aren't teaching us the truth. They're going to these events. They're calling out the people on stage. It's to represent people that actually want change and don't just dream of change, right? A lot of these other parties, they've been around forever. What have they done? They've tried their best probably, but it's really the younger generation that's going to do it. And
Fucking
I wouldn't
gaslighter.
have to make this party if
The Democratic Party and the
gaslighting.
Republican Party have tried their best, guys. You heard it here first.
So he's gaslighting us right now.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Oh gosh. Okay.
But I agree. Like Cookies is saying, they kiss up to Gen Z here, but behind closed doors, they say Gen Z is lazy and entitled. Yeah. And
Yeah, they do.
if you really wanted any change, maybe you would have just look at the wealth transfer, the biggest wealth transfer that happened during COVID. That's all about denying the new generation access to the wealth that's been hoarded by the dying out generation of the boomers.
I'm very curious to hear what they're gonna say about Mondami, because that'll kind of and Tucker Carlson really.
I'm a little curious about nuclear energy too. That's one of the things about the LaRoucheites. They're all gung-ho about like nuclear fusion. And one thing I think nobody puts 2 and 2 together about nuclear fusion research is it's just like a lot of things. It's extremely expensive, and it's not really been delivering on any promises. So it's kind of like a pipe dream and a con game or whatever. But even worse than that is nuclear fusion technology is kind of cover for nuclear weapons research into nuclear fusion bomb, which would be far worse than the nuclear bombs that we already have. And that is definitely coming from, I had an article, maybe I could find it or whatever. We don't want to get into it maybe because it's too long or something, but it's definitely just like the reason why I need to prevent a country from having access to nuclear factories or whatever. Just by building the electricity factory, you now have access to weapons grade, whatever kind of shit. So you can't develop the domestic technology without creating the opportunity for weapon systems.
So let's see. Should I try to find this one? Let me just see.
Those parties had worked. If they were working, we really wouldn't have to do it. So it doesn't make any difference, in my opinion, those parties. I'm glad they did what they did. They've probably paved the road for us to be able to do what we're doing right now. But in my opinion, we need to gather the youth, and the youth are not going to attach themselves with a party, not likely to attach themselves with an old age thinking party, right? The Gen Z are all about radical change. Absolutely. If you look at the culture, if you see the difference between a Gen Zer and a boomer, if you put them in a room together and let them have a conversation, it is probably one of the most entertaining things I've ever seen in my entire life. They speak entirely different languages. And I'm not saying tradition isn't good. I'm not saying Gen Z has everything right.
I know what you mean.
But they're radically different, and they want to see positive change. I think they have really good intent. Opinion. What we're doing is not radical. I don't think free education, like real 26, it's like, okay, no.
Can you hear me?
I think he was just about to say that free education, what we're doing, what we're trying to do is not even radical. Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, so maybe it's something
this is a serious, this is a terrorist threat to America.
You should just rewind it a few seconds, because I think he just tried to say that what he's trying to say free healthcare
kind of came together.
That's too far.
And created the.
I'm pretty sure he just said that what we're doing is not radical, but what he was saying was the free healthcare, free chemical-free food or whatever, and was it the other free thing or whatever? To say that that's not radical, he's trying to sound like ultra radical for the Gen Zers who don't really know any class analysis or consciousness, which is the actual radical stuff. Like, I hate how they take our words and use them against us like this, you know?
Okay, I didn't hear that.
American Congress Party, reducing taxes, taking care of nature, denuclearization, purifying our food, taking care of the next generation, healthcare, free non-chemical food, upgrading our education. And so I feel even like it's almost like realizing that there's so many different issues that are facing our country, but understanding like what the foundation is.
Yeah.
Where did all of these come from? It's like a hydra, right? We're trying to cut off different heads, and they're creating 5 different new problems with them, as opposed to just getting to the root cause of all these issues. And to me, and even getting to know you and the party better, it's like this is attacking the heart of the hydra.
Yeah, that's the thing. Nobody wants to go to the root of the problem, and that's the only way to actually solve the problem. And we've all been taught Band-Aid solutions our entire lives. I mean,
primary
we live in a capitalistic society because in a capitalistic society, you look for the quickest fix, not necessarily the best fix, right? Whatever is the most cost-efficient, time-efficient is usually what we go for. But we are in a time where we need radical change. And in my opinion, what we're doing is not radical. I don't think free education, like really good education, not education sponsored by, you know, Robert Maxwell's books, right? If you know, you know. I'm talking about actual education on how to become your best self, how to actually understand energy, how to understand how we are connected with nature, all of these things, so that you can live your best life, so that you can actually live the purpose that you came here to fulfill. A lot of these elites, their kids will never go to a public school in their entire life. Okay.
Do you agree with
They'll
him
go
that
to,
free healthcare,
what are
free
those school,
education,
Montessori schools,
free
right? They'll go
food
to
is not radical? Are you kidding me? Of course those things are radical. Those are the things people have been trying to achieve for forever. And they're the one thing we're not allowed, like those things we're not allowed to have for very conspicuous reasons. And so if we ever achieve even one of those things, that would be radical.
I think you might be trying to say the concept of having those things isn't radical, but the to get them in this country is radical.
They shouldn't be, right? It should be common sense.
It shouldn't be, right. I think that's what he's saying.
He's trying to make the argument that like the kids want us to be more radical and revolutionary and everything or whatever, but he's doing his best to not draw the conclusions all the way to the real root, which is capitalism, even though he's mentioning like in a capitalist society, but they're all three of them are capitalists and they're not calling themselves any, like, go ahead and find some evidence in this, whatever, where they call themselves socialists, but at best they're going to be democratic socialists and not communists. Like,
and I want to know why they don't have why don't you have, you're only like, person in charge of reaching out is to Hispanics and Latinos. Like, you don't know any Black people, and you don't know any Asians. Like, you got to know some Asians. You're in the business of technology. Oh, well, I wasn't trying to be racist with that one, but I mean,
you need to appeal to more than just the Hispanics. And now I'm wondering, are they, what kind of spiritual capitalism are they? Are they Catholics? Are they Protestants? You know?
Yeah, let's see.
Schools, they'll go to private schools where they learn specific trainings that you're never going to be exposed to in a public school. Okay. And they don't eat the food that they're serving in public school, which brings us to the food situation. It's not radical to say that we shouldn't be poisoning our food. It's not radical to say that. But somehow when you go and look at these politicians, they'll make a bigger deal out of everything. Everything's a massive deal. Well, there's Congress and we got to pass this. And no, at the end of the day, if you really want change, you can get stuff done fast. Look at what happened when Trump came into office. He wanted to get stuff done. How many executive orders did he sign within like the first month? Wasn't it some crazy number, some record number?
Oh yeah. I don't know what it was, but it was absurd.
Okay, let's see an executive order banning poison in our food, Trump. Okay. But we have one coming in 2026. It's like, okay, this is a terrorist threat to America. That's poison in our food that's killing people.
Yeah, the food dyes. They banned like 5 food dyes, and it's not till 2027.
Exactly.
Like, what are we doing?
So the point is, he comes into office, he can sign all these executive orders immediately, but why is that not an executive order? How is that not a serious threat to America? Diabetes, cancer, heart disease, these are the leading killers in America. That's seriously the biggest threat to our country right now.
It makes me wonder
they probably did it. Oh,
sorry, go ahead.
They probably did it in 2027 so they can get the public relations win, but that don't mean that it might never happen. Like, they might put it in some bill, squeezed in the middle of some other bill where they're rescinding that or whatever. We don't know. So
this guy acts like he doesn't understand the importance of the capitalist class to keep the working class repressed and weak so that they can be controlled. You know, that's the whole point of making sure that you don't deal with problems like diabetes and pollution, like air pollution and shit like that. Because if you fix that stuff, you'd have a healthier working class. They would be much more capable of revolution, of radical action.
Where's the
Especially if you- and then you add on to that, right? Is like you get sick, and then the healing has all funded by the Rockefeller Foundation in the early 1900s to move us to petroleum-based medicine. And it's like we're treating all these things with oil, like we're sticking oil and petroleum in our bodies in order to fix
Yeah.
these things. It's like, no wonder cancer skyrocketed. No wonder the Rockefeller set up the Cancer Foundation in order for them to hide the truth of what was causing cancer in the first place. And it's mind blowing whenever you kind of just start peeling back layer after layer of, again, the Hydra. How did we get here in the first place?
Yep. And you want to know what makes our party different is we will talk about the Rockefellers. We will talk about the Rothschilds. We will talk about the demons operating above those people. Yes, there is levels of security above the Rothschilds, above the Rockefellers. They are not the most evil people. on
Sounds
this
like
planet.
LaRouche to
People,
me
per
now.
se, on this
Okay.
planet, right? There's demons and power above them. We're not afraid to talk about that stuff. So you want to ask a libertarian about all of this stuff? I would love to hear their response. Or the Green Party, go to Jill Stein. Is Jill Stein the Green Party?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're doing great work. But talk about the actual issues. Talk about how our country is not even a country, really. It's a business model that was founded by bankers. The World Bankers founded our country. We didn't found our country. We have no freedom in this country per se. Oh, go to the Middle East. You'll see what not freedom is like. No, I'm not talking about, okay, yeah, I can get in my car. I can go to the store. There's different types of enslavement. There's psychological enslavement. And that is exactly what these people have done. Okay? They've psychologically enslaved us. Have you ever heard the analogy of the fleas in the jar?
Yeah, where they can't jump out.
Exactly. So they have this jar with fleas in it, right? And the fleas are all jumping up and down. It's uncovered. Some of them are jumping out, right? And then they cover the jar and keep the fleas in it. And so they can't jump that high, right? All of a sudden, when they take the cover off, the fleas can't jump high enough to get out because their belief system has changed, right? They don't believe they can jump out. When they know that there's no lid on there and they're jumping, they know they can jump that high, right? That's exactly what the elites have done. They know how powerful we are. So they have capped our
kinda like
beliefs. They've
you just
capped
took,
our thinking.
Mao's frog in the
They've
well
tried.
analogy.
Hmm?
You just came up with an alternative to Mao's frog in the well analogy. I don't know if you ever heard that one, but it's like the frog in the well has been stuck in the well for so long that it only sees the one small part of the sky, and it begins to believe that that all the sky that there is. And if it would ever actually kind of climb out of the well, it would realize how much more there is to life. But maybe that's like a totally separate analogy, but it's kind of what they do. Like they say things almost socialist, but they don't actually quite go far enough, you know?
So Cobra says they're saying all the talking points. This is like a new marketism for conservatives.
Yeah. See, they've used their analytics and everything to kind of like, I guess, would you call it like slick propaganda? Like we see through it because like this chat is like the kinds of people who have like really done their homework and they can see through this shit. But the average American, I feel like this propaganda is some sleek shit, you know?
They've psychologically enslaved our population through the food, through the medical situation, through the education, through everything. They've done everything they can to enslave us. If you think about how we're still waking up despite all of this stuff they've done to us, it makes you realize how incredibly powerful we are. That is insane. We have gone through some of the most extreme.
Coming so super close to saying what we're saying, but saying it a little bit differently so as to like take the class, like the socialism out of it. Where you know how people say decolonize your mind. But instead of referencing colonialism, he's saying they've enslaved our minds. And so that way he doesn't have to acknowledge the uncomfortable, like what I think they call it, is it this positionality? I don't know what theory that is. That's But you know what I mean? Like a white man's not allowed to say certain things because of his position in society, right?
I know what you mean. Yeah. Let me see how long
Extreme
he's gonna do
poisoning
this, 'cause
out of like.
tell me what you
I
think
mean,
about
there's no
Mondani.
way to put this into perspective. How poisoned we've been, how much we've been exposed to, just propaganda, and somehow we've come out and still seen through their crap. That's incredible, if you ask me. That's why they know they have to keep us suppressed, because we're too resilient. We're too powerful for them.
Yeah, we're starting to jump out of the jar, proverbially.
Exactly.
Well, and you even take this to a place of like the poisoning the food, and you realize that how badly it damages you psychologically and physically. It makes you so unable to live like a prosperous life. And I'm not sure how much legitimacy there is to it, but I know that there's a lot of, maybe it's a myth, maybe it's not, but people say how we're only using 8% of our brain. And to me, I look around and I'm like, is it because of this poison? Like, are we really like only operating at 8% of our capacity because of how much poison is in our food, is in our air, is in our water? And I just see all of that. And it's shocking that, to your point, that it's like, okay, we're still finding a way to jump out. Information's still coming out. The knowledge is still somehow coming out.
Yep.
And you just keep digging. You realize like how many layers go down into this. And I mean, even myself, every single day, it's like there's something new. There's a new reason. There's a new idea. And I think something I've been realizing recently, right, is because American Congress Party is on that path. When you realize and look throughout the history, one of the big things I've seen keep popping up is it seems like once a group of people like lead a revolution, take power, one of the next big things that happens is this idea of ego, or wanting to kind of like control the masses, feeling like you're the best. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, like, how do we prevent ourselves? How do we invoke accountability? How do we make sure that we're accountable to the people we should be serving? Because at the end of the day, politicians need to be slaves to the American people and only the American people. And so in thinking like, how do we prevent ourselves from becoming
how do we deal with the problem of being enslaved? Well, the solution is clearly to enslave the politicians. I feel like you shouldn't be trusted with power, buddy. I'm gonna have to take Bella for a walk, though. If would you want to keep doing this and like you want to, or
I'm getting tired, but I don't know. I'll stay if people want to keep listening.
Sure.
You don't want to keep listening? I don't know.
Well, I would like. I'm happy to keep listening. I'm just saying it's almost 10 o'clock, and I usually take her out at around 9. So I definitely have to take her out soon. So not to force the issue, but if you just wanted to keep playing, listen to the Mondani part while I'm gone.
I kind of want to listen to it with you.
Yeah, I know. It's just sometimes there's no good choices.
We could do it next Tuesday. I also want to watch this other one too, because
I
just want to know what kind of party this is. I think we already kind of have an idea, but I just want to see where they're going with all of this. You know what I mean?
Well, it is really interesting what he's getting into right now, where he's talking about how do we, whenever there's a revolution, the problem of ego of the people who seize power, how do we then not try to feel like we need to control the masses? And he's saying all this stuff. Is he going to say the word socialism? Because that's kind of like how the answer to how do you remain accountable to the people when you seize power, whatever, is that you seize power on behalf of the people in a genuine way, and that is socialist politics. And they're trying to do socialist politics in everything but name. I don't buy it.
That's what I'm trying to find out. That's what I'm trying to find out. Because they're sounding pretty libertarian to me.
It is weird, the appeal, libertarian has a wide appeal for some reason, but they don't really seem to get that many voters, maybe just because of the inherent nature of libertarianism. They're not big on voting, but they do seem... I feel like the duopoly has been so pathetic that people are going to turn to libertarianism first, and then they need to be disillusioned by that before they're willing to dirty their hands with something farther left.
Who called us? Oh, I remember. Kyle Kalinske called Mondani this is Mondani's party now, and called them the Dim Tea Party, Democratic Tea Party. Remember that? That's why I want to know, like, and I think Mondani's mom, even though he didn't go to Israel and said he has no plans on going, I think his mom has some ties to Israel or something.
Yeah, that's
I
what I
can't
heard.
remember what it was, but she's pretty up there in the know. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly. Let's see. I'm just gonna look that up real quick.
Cobra is saying, I got it. We can form a central committee that votes on issues. You can be part of the committee if you want, represent your region. Oh, democratic socialism, go figure. But, or democratic centralism, I meant to say. Which reminds me, I don't know if you know who Bad Empanada is. Bad Empanada put out a video. So this guy named Bad Empanada, he put out a video recently talking about what American communists can actually do, and he's basically advocating that we actually start like a Marxist-Leninist kind of third party instead of just talking about it. And like his criticism was kind of valid to me. Americans are the one country that refuses to at least even try the one thing that might help electorally. But then what he was saying was something along the lines of you could have the power of the DNC and the RNC in your own party, and you would be able to kick anybody out trying to infiltrate your party the same way that they're like neutering the DSA people who try and take over the Democrats. Right? If we had the same executive authority over the party as the DNC and RNC, theoretically, we could actually maintain a socialist character to the party and implement the policies if they're popular and whatnot. So, food for thought. I know Bad Empanada is kind of not the best commentator. He's put his foot in shit, whatever. I don't really watch him all that closely, but it's always hard to say when to offer a little bit of a critical kind of support for somebody on something without the guilt by association for some reason.
I'm gonna have to do a little more digging on the Mondani mom situation.
Right.
Because depending on which article I'm looking at, it's saying like totally different things.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing. It's kind of hard to get the accurate information on the fly. So.
Right, on the fly. So I gotta do it on my own time for a second. Because there's like talk of her being financed by Qatar for her films, her documentary films that she made. Then there's talk of her being a long-term Israel critic. And the BDS, boycott, divest, and sanction. Long-time supporter of that movement. But then Fox News is saying he's not American. His mother said in an interview that he's not American at all. So it's just a lot. I gotta look at that later. But can we watch? Yeah, I know. So we're gonna go ahead and shut it down because I really do want to play this with you.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm getting tired anyway, so.
Yeah. No worries. I don't mind having a shorter night tonight. But Cookies is just before we get out of here responding to my Bad Empanada comments. So saying he likes him, but he's crazy. Yeah, that happens to some of us. I get that same. In case you haven't noticed, I can people kind of think I'm crazy too, and maybe not exactly wrong.
No, nobody's noticed that at all.
No, oh, good. I guess it was all in my head. If Bad Empanada was your friend, he'd just be like, "You want me to kale them for you all the time? You have to not bring them everywhere. You'd scare the hoes." Okay, yeah. That's funny. All right, so I guess that's it for us tonight.
Y'all, thank you for hanging out with us. Kitty's here too. I don't know if we said hello to Kitty.
Oh no, what's up? Hello, goodbye.
Peace, 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 fam. We'll see you on Thursday, hopefully. If not, we'll see you back on Tuesday. I hope you enjoyed all the information that we gave out today. We kept forgetting to put the link up, so whatever.
Sensei, thanks for sliding in just in the last second. Yeah, that's where
that.
True Sensei just popping in. Free
Oh,
Palestine.
hi, True Sensei.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And we were actually about to be out of here. So come back and see us.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, in the meantime, in between time, be kind to yourself, your friends, your family, and your community.
Take care, everyone. We'll see you Thursday. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Au revoir.